Seattle City Light has a much smaller number of people in the dark at this hour. They are reporting more than 200 customers right now without power.
We woke up to the helicopter at 2:30 in the morning circling our backyard with a go now.
About 1,300 people still under level 3 go now evacuation orders in the city of Pacific. This comes after the levee breached along the White River. This map showing the area under evacuation that includes anywhere northwest of the river, south of Ellingson Road, west of Skinner Road, east of St. Paul Boulevard, and north of Pacific City Park. City officials say it's not clear when this evacuation will be lifted. And these are also pictures this morning Fox 13 captured yesterday with our drone. You can see those sandbags are filling the gap in the White River, and that is not the only levee that has breached. The levee along the Green River in Tukwila also gave way, causing evacuations in the nearby industrial area there.
Those evacuations, they have since been reduced, and as of right now, the city says flooding is still possible, and that's why anyone under this yellow area, they are under level 1 or get set evacuation orders. And some people in Auburn are out of their homes as well. So that smaller red area inside that orange square on the top portion of your screen, that is a go now evacuation order. That is the section of a neighborhood along South 277th Street. The orange is the get set evacuation order for people. They should be ready to leave their homes at a moment's notice. And not far from those evacuations, members of the dive unit, they rescued a driver who went right past a road closed sign. We do want to remind everybody that's not a good idea. This is on 277th west of West Valley Highway. You can see the massive Washington National Guard vehicle next to that other vehicle, and they were able to pull that driver out. They took him to get checked. This is another reminder, once again, the importance to avoid driving or on any kind of standing water and not ignoring those road closed signs. And a big story we are tracking is the rare blizzard warning for our mountain passes. So we want to send it out to Fox 13's Sean Chitness, who is on his way to Snoqualmie Pass in a vehicle that is equipped to do so. We want to say, Sean, how are conditions looking for you?
Hey, Maria, good morning. Yes, we're glad that we have a vehicle that allows us to get up here safely and also give you a sense of what we're seeing. So we have made it up to the pass. We're actually just across from the summit at Snoqualmie. Let me show you what we are seeing right here. This is from the roof camera, and we do have a special light on that gives you a sense of what we can see. You might recognize the Christmas tree from the summit over there, and the wind has been really the most significant factor we've noticed now in the hour plus that we've been in the area. That's what's been blowing the conditions in other direction. This, I think, appears to be a grapple. You can see that it is on the ground here. We did see the rain start to really pick up in the last 30 minutes or so. As we were coming up, conditions were all right, but it is this rare blizzard warning that has brought us up here and that has put out that guidance for folks to really avoid traveling here if at all possible. We know that this is going to be the case for much of the morning. Also want to mention that there is a power outage, which we kind of had noticed as we were driving around in this area. Some of the usual lights we're used to seeing not on. Of course, some businesses and residences have generators, but we are seeing, according to Puget Sound Energy, that around 1,000 customers are impacted at this time. So constantly changing conditions, part of the challenge that folks are going to be facing if they're already up here or thinking about coming here. So one more time, that reminder, if you can avoid traveling in this area today, you should definitely do so. And we'll be here throughout the morning with another update in our next 30 minutes to tell you how things are looking. Guys, back to you.
Thank you so much, Sean. Yeah, you can see the snow falling outside there finally. We've been waiting for those snow levels to drop at Snoqualmie Pass, and it looks like they have. Let's take a look right now at your radar, where we continue to see those snow showers up in the higher elevations right now, impacting Snoqualmie Pass just with some light snow showers. And we've been seeing plenty of snow up towards Skykomish and continuing on up into Stevens Pass. Olympia to Centralia, you'll find some light showers this morning, so we're getting a little bit of a break from the rain rain at the moment for most of us. But boy, did we have some gusty winds overnight. Those southerly winds changed over to westerly as that cold front approached, and it brought some very strong wind through the Strait of Juan de Fuca, and Whidbey Island took the brunt of it at a 71-mile-an-hour gust earlier this morning. We do still have wind advisories and high wind warnings up for most of the Puget Sound area and the coast until 10 o'clock. But from here on out, I am expecting that wind to die down a bit. Rivers under warnings, well, here's the big list. From the Skykomish all the way to the Snohomish, the Snoqualmie, the Skokomish, the Cowlitz, all these rivers are under flood warnings as they crest today and into tomorrow. And I want to talk about when we can expect these to crest and where we can expect these to crest. The good news I have for you is that the Skagit at Concrete and Mount Vernon, the forecast has improved on that. The Skagit at Concrete will crest this morning at about 31.5 feet. The good news is that is now down to moderate flood stage instead of major flood stage. Same with the Skagit at Mount Vernon. Still can be dangerous, even at moderate flood stage, but not as high as we saw last week. The Snohomish at Monroe, Snohomish at Snohomish, and the Snoqualmie at Carnation all are set to crest later on today at moderate flood stage. Now, we're still dealing with a lot of our other smaller rivers as well, like the Cedar River, the White River, the Green River. Those all expected to just kind of hang out at moderate flood stage, and those can fluctuate a lot quicker than the bigger rivers as well. Here's a look at your futurecast. Today we're going to be looking at a mix of sunshine, clouds, and a potential for some heavy downpours if you get caught in one of these cells. But it may be more dry than wet right around the Seattle area. Up in the mountains, it's going to be all about that snow as it continues to pile up over the course of the next several days. We have another round of rain hitting us on Thursday. This will be a little bit more widespread, could be heavy at times too. We are going to see those snow levels briefly rise, and then they'll drop back down as we get into Friday. So weather alerts today and tomorrow due to the wind, due to the rain, and due to the snow, and then we're back to drier weather Friday and into Saturday. Let's send it on over to Adam. He's got a check on traffic. Good morning, Adam. Still a lot of issues out there.
Plenty to go around right now, and the Valley Freeway 167 is still out of commission both directions, getting up from Auburn and moving into Kent and vice versa. So that's putting a lot of pressure right back over to I-5 this morning, giving us an 82-minute drive time, Tacoma to Seattle. The other big thing I want to point out as we're getting started this morning is as you get out onto these roads, obviously we're still watching for ponding water and standing water, but now looking for downed trees and branches and dark traffic signals. That's going to be a big thing yet this morning as we get rolling. So heed that warning if you can. I've seen just multiple state routes, mainly to the south end through Pierce and Thurston counties and over towards the Olympic Peninsula that are impacted by downed trees and branches, but this is potentially something that could impact us further out yet. Kent still finding 277th underwater at this point. Enumclaw 410 to the east of town. That has traffic alternating through at this point, which is a welcome bit of relief. Here's Tacoma, northbound I-5 right about Portland Avenue. We're still watching for that collision that's going to give us some further slowdowns. And US 2 Stevens Pass still closed between Skykomish and Leavenworth. That's going to be closed indefinitely at this point because of damage to the roadway. The Mount Baker Highway 542 also closed at this time because of damage to the roadway and the conditions we've been dealing with. Other mountain passes we need to be worried about? Well, how about US 12? Let's start with Natchez. That is still out of commission because of damage to the roadway. Snoqualmie Pass is open at this point with no restrictions, but you do have the blizzard warning at Snoqualmie Summit and potential delays getting up there. Westbound through Cle Elum from construction, eastbound through North Bend because of erosion or mitigation to erosion of the roadway. White Pass, by the way, traction tires are required, chains on the big rigs. Not easy this morning. All right, guys, back over to you.
Thank you, Adam. Governor Bob Ferguson is giving more information about the response to the recent flooding, how much money he says is going towards short-term relief.
Tonight, President Donald Trump expected to address the nation. What the White House says he'll be talking about. Your time now, 6:10.
Welcome back. Let's continue our coverage on this weather alert day in Renton, where we find Fox 13's Nikki Torres. And you found a downed tree. Good morning to you, Nikki.
Maria, good morning. This is quite the sight. When we first pulled up, I didn't realize it was a tree that was down. I kind of just thought that it was bushes along the way, because you can see just how large this is, covering the full extent of the roadway here. This is the Kennydale neighborhood here in Renton. This is North 4th Street and Logan Avenue North. Now, this did cause a power outage. As you can tell, it actually knocked down those power lines and almost tilting this power pole here along with the light pole. That has affected 65 customers this morning. So as you can tell, within this neighborhood, there are no lights at all. Now, we do know that this happened just before 2 in the morning, and we can only assume that this is because of the wind speeds throughout this morning. Again, it happened a few hours ago, but I was just checking the wind speeds. Looks like they're blowing at right around 15 miles per hour this morning, and those wind gusts up to 30 miles per hour. We're going to check in here in another half hour. For right now, I'm Nikki Torres. We're live in Renton. Back to you guys.
My goodness, that is a huge tree, you guys. Wow. All right. Stay safe out there. Yes, there are many trees down, impacting many roads. In fact, a big one that Adam's going to talk about here shortly. Let's get to it here and take a look at your radar. Wind's still a factor. However, it is starting to calm down a bit around the greater Seattle area. You are looking mainly dry at the moment, even up in Snohomish County, where we saw some heavier rain and gustier wind earlier on. The winds are still on the breezy side, not quite as gusty as what we saw in the early morning hours. Rain since midnight has looked like this, not terribly soaking, but we have seen a couple tenths of an inch in many locations. The ground is so saturated. This has been not a good time to have a windstorm, because the ground has been so saturated the first half of the month. We've already had 6.5 inches of rain, a lot of that coming just in the past 10 days due to all the rain that we saw last week and now over the past 2 days. So with all that saturated ground, the strong wind, check out some of these peak wind gusts. Whidbey Island, 71 miles an hour. SeaTac had a almost 50-mile-an-hour gust. We saw a lot of 40 to 50-mile-an-hour gusts between Snohomish County and Thurston County, and we saw some strong gusts east of the Cascades too, in the 60s. So a lot of power out across the state, and that does include down south towards Clark County as well. In fact, if you total up all of the outages in Washington and Oregon from this windstorm, it's over 500,000 people. A wind advisory and a high wind warning does continue until 10 o'clock this morning. As we get into the afternoon hours, we're going to be seeing that wind calm down a bit. Still going to be breezy today, and then we'll get another round of gusty wind coming up tomorrow. We're in the 40s right now. 47 will be our high. We're going to be looking tomorrow at another windy day. Again, not quite as windy, but still on the windy side of breezy, we'll say. Fewer showers on Friday and Saturday, and then we'll get back to more consistent showers heading into next week, but it will be cooler and calmer weather-wise. I want to send it on over to meteorologist Abby Coney. She has a look at the mountains and that blizzard warning up in the Cascades.
Yeah, so we've got the blizzard warning. That's a concern. And then from our high winds and numerous downed trees, breaking news here is that White Pass is now closed. So that's closed along with a big stretch of Highway 2 along Stevens Pass, which state officials say could be closed for months at this point. Along Snoqualmie Pass, one of the only open passes that we have right now. Along that area, we're seeing roads bare and wet, slushy in spots, areas of standing water. In the last couple of hours, Snoqualmie Pass, you saw a gust to 82 miles per hour. So the thing that we get worried about with the blizzard conditions is that when you combine the heavy snow with these powerful, long-lasting winds, visibility is going to be so bad, driving is going to be exceptionally dangerous. So in the red, that's where we got the blizzard warning continuing all the way until noon. Additional snow to 10 inches, extra gusts to 55 miles per hour. I've driven in a blizzard before for weather coverage, and it was incredibly life-threatening. And now, whenever I do this type of coverage, I stay parked in one place. You don't want to be driving around with this one. For the southern Cascades, a winter weather advisory for 3 to 7 inches. And then if you're going along the eastern slope of Snoqualmie Pass, closer to Easton and Roslyn, that's where there could be upwards of a foot of snow. Snow level forecast, some good news here. Snow levels are going to stay on the lower side as we go forward in the next 7 days, right around 2,000 feet going into the weekend and for the week of Christmas. That's going to help to limit river flooding that we might otherwise see. So it kind of helps to decrease that a little bit at least. So much more on rivers in a bit, but first I'll send it over to Adam.
Yeah, thanks, Abby. This morning, in exactly watching what Abby's talking about with White Pass now being closed, Stevens Pass being closed, Mount Baker Highway 542 being closed, 3 serious closures happening there, and 3 would be strong options for ski resorts if there was snow. Looking like our ski season may be in rough shape. I-90, by the way, right now, just actually no restrictions on I-90, but tough getting up there in the eastbound direction. We'll get into all this in just a bit. Want to still point out what's happening here on the Valley Freeway 167 northbound at 15th Southwest. Traffic is diverted off of the Valley Freeway and in towards Auburn at this point. Southbound volumes are still closed off in 212th and through Kent, getting down to 15th Northwest. So we still see the major closures along the Valley Freeway because of water over the roadway. That's putting all the pressure onto I-5 right now, which is running at about 85 minutes of drive time. Tacoma to Seattle, that is about 30 minutes heavier than normal. So you're going to have to budget that time into your drive. Still also keeping attention to what's happening in through Kent on 277, the roadway out of condition. 410 east of Enumclaw, traffic is alternating through that now. Tacoma's had its own share of collisions. North 5 getting in and through the Port of Tacoma Road, or so 54th. Watching for that tangle. I've also seen other issues along 512 and State Route 7. A lot of situations this morning that are turning into trees down across the roadway, downed power lines across the roadway, dark traffic signals. So as you get out and get started this morning, those are the big challenges you have to wrestle with right now. Otherwise, still watching US 2 Stevens Pass closed between Skykomish and Leavenworth. US 12 Natchez still closed near Chilcote because the road's washed out. Again, leaving us with I-90 as your option. Westbound through Cle Elum, you're reduced or actually diverted because of construction near Bullfrog, and eastbound near North Bend. Traffic is reduced to 2 lanes getting up towards the Snoqualmie Summit because of erosion mitigation to the roadway there. So headed out this morning. The bottom line is we're still watching for a lot of water, a lot of dark intersections, and a lot of trees down now. Guys, back over to you.
All right, 6:20 here on a rough Wednesday morning. 20 more countries being added to the White House's travel ban and restrictions list. We'll tell you when the change goes into effect. Major flooding still a threat in Skagit County right now. How Washington Task Force 1 is helping out in the area. Governor Bob Ferguson says he has moved $3.5 million to be used for short-term relief during this intense flooding our state is seeing right now. Making that announcement during a press conference yesterday, President Trump has already signed off on our state's emergency declaration, which did bring immediate resources to help save lives, clean up debris, but did not give any help when it comes to money.
So what we're working on is a major disaster declaration. That's what unlocks significant financial resources for individuals and for local governments and the state for the impacts that will no doubt be profound from a financial standpoint. In order to get that declaration, we need to meet several requirements. We must show the scale of the disaster is beyond our ability as a state to fully respond, confirm we have taken appropriate action as a state under our emergency plans, provide an estimate on the amount and severity of damage to the public and private sector. This can be a time-consuming process.
Work on that declaration already underway. In the meantime, our state is also asking for help from FEMA. President Donald Trump plans to address the nation tonight live from the White House. That's happening at 6 p.m. Now, the White House says he will use the platform to boast his accomplishments and discuss plans for his next 3 years. He wrote on his social media, quote, "I look forward to seeing you. The best is yet to come." We will have that speech live right here on Fox 13. Trump administration is adding 20 more countries to its travel ban and restrictions list. 5 of them face a full ban: Syria, South Sudan, Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso, and anyone with documents issued by the Palestinian Authority. 15 other countries, mostly African, have restrictions traveling to the U.S. This does not apply to current visa holders and U.S. residents. Those updates go into effect January 1st. Well, check your freezers right now. A dairy-free company recalling one of its frozen desserts. We're going to tell you why coming up. And remember, as you celebrate the holidays, we invite you to join our holiday celebration. The Les Schwab Fox 13 Toy Drive. It's happening right now. You can scan the QR code on our screen to buy a toy off Les Schwab's Amazon wish list. Toy Drive runs through this Friday.
Welcome back, and thank you for joining us here on Good Day Seattle. I'm Maria Garcia.
And I'm John Hopperstead.
And we do have team coverage for you this morning. Adam Gerke is watching the roads for any issues you'll run into during the morning commute. We have Chief Meteorologist Brian McMillan and Meteorologist Abby Acone with the details on conditions you can expect today on a blizzard warning in the Cascade Passes.
Yeah, we're talking about a blizzard this morning as well. On top of everything here, Sean Chitness is tracking the conditions in Snoqualmie. Nikki Torres is at the scene of a downed tree in Renton as well. But first, Taylor Winkle is in Tacoma this morning, where a tree has fallen on a house, something we have seen over the past couple of weeks here, Taylor.
Yeah, that's right, especially with that wind overnight. It's windy this morning, and this is happening in South Tacoma. This is on East 82nd Street. You can see the damage that large cedar tree did to the front of this home. It's caving in on itself. It's hard to see that tree, but it is large. Tacoma Fire says it was called in just before 2 o'clock this morning. That tree took out power lines and the gas meter here at this home. They shut off the power and blocked people from this area, and then they handed the case over to Puget Sound Energy, who is here on scene right now working to make sure there's no leaks and everything is safe. We know at the same time that tree fell, thousands in this area lost power. That is according to Tacoma Public Utilities. However, it's still unclear this morning if those two instances are related. We did reach out to Tacoma Public Utilities, and we'll keep you posted with what we learn. For now, reporting live in Tacoma, I'm Taylor Winkle, Fox 13 News.
All right, thank you, Taylor. The wind strong all across western Washington overnight. Let's head out to Renton now, where Fox 13's Nikki Torres found a downed tree blocking a road there as well. Good morning, Nikki.
John, good morning. Another tree down, this one in Renton in King County. Now you can just see how massive this tree is. Actually, it covers the whole extent of the roadway here. This is the Kennydale neighborhood on North 4th Street and Logan Avenue North. When we pulled up, I actually thought this was just a line of bushes, but it's actually this massive tree that is now covering the roadway. You can see that it caused a power outage as that tree had fallen onto several power lines, even tilting over this power pole that also has a light a lamp on it as well. This power outage does affect right around 65 customers. We do know that this happened just before 2 o'clock this morning. Again, we can only assume that this is because of the strong winds that we have been experiencing all throughout the Northwest this morning, as well as overnight. When I was checking the wind speeds, it looked like right around 15 miles per hour for this area and up to 30 mile per hour gusts. We're live in Renton this morning. I'm Nikki Torres, Fox 13 News. Back to you in studio.
Oh my gosh, thank you for that, Nikki. And you know, with this wind and rain overnight, we're seeing a lot of power outages this morning. PSE is reporting more than 143,000 customers are without power right now. Seattle City Light has a much smaller number of people in the dark. They are reporting more than 200 customers without power. And this is a look at the outage map in Snohomish with more than 54,000 customers without power. Joining us to talk more this morning, we have Aaron with the Snohomish County Public Utility District. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
So thousands in the dark this morning. Aaron, what are the areas that are being impacted the most? And is there any timeline for when people can expect that the lights to come back on?
Yeah, so the winds did come in overnight like we were expecting, and they came in from the west. So Camano Island was severely hit. You know, kind of the Arlington, Marysville, western part of our county was, we're seeing most of the damage right now. So like you said, we have about 54,000 customers out. We're seeing, you know, quite a bit of damage and pretty significant poles down, things like that. This looks like it's going to take at least multiple days to get everybody restored.
Okay, and what are crews doing right now to try and restore power? Are they able to get to work already?
A little bit. We have more than 30 crews out in the field working right now. A lot of it is assessing the damage, you know, kind of waiting until the sun comes up. There's a little more light to work. A lot of it is removing trees and debris. So really just trying to get to that point where we can start to do that work. And then, like I said, kind of assessing damage or doing some of those smaller things to try to get, like, street lights on just so that we can get traffic moving and things like that.
Yeah, and with so many outages at this point, can you share how crews decide which ones to deal with first?
Yeah, we really work from big to small. So you take large jobs where we're going to get a large number of customers back up quickly. So transmission poles, the kind of the higher poles where we've got a lot of the power coming in, we're going to deal with those first. So we've got some of those jobs in, like I said, Stanwood area, Marysville, where we're seeing some of these poles down. we want to get those up because those are going to bring thousands of customers in. So like I said, working big to small and trying to kind of assess the damage and know where we can get more customers up quickly.
Aaron, thank you so much for sharing all of that with us. I know the people dealing with this, they appreciate the insight.
You bet. No problem.
All right, time for you now, 6:33, checking in with Brian.
Yeah, we're talking 500,000 people in Washington and Oregon without power right now, with Snohomish County, one of the counties taking the brunt of all these power outages, and it's going to be a little bit here before we can get everybody back on. Here is a look right now where we stand with our radar. We still have snow showers up in the mountains. Those have eased up a bit, and we've also seen plenty of rain moving its way through the Olympic Peninsula, but we're dry right now around the greater Seattle area. You'll find snow heading up to Stevens Pass, even though you can't go up to Stevens Pass right now. And over Snoqualmie Pass, that is shifting over to snow. Check out this gust at Whidbey Island, 71 miles an hour. That happened just after midnight when the winds were peaking through the Strait of Juan de Fuca as that cold front was coming through. We're still seeing breezy wind across the region, but not quite as windy as it has been. So wind advisories and a high wind warning are still in effect through 10 o'clock. I do expect the wind to continue to back off a bit as we continue on through the rest of the morning hours. But there's still a chance with this saturated ground and with these wind gusts that we still see some damage. These rivers are under warnings. All of these right here, and we're going to be seeing these rise to minor to moderate flood stage throughout the day today. Right now, the good news I have for you is that most of our rivers, the big ones at least, are not at cresting at major stage today. But we did get word that some of these, the Cedar, White, and Green, are going to be flirting with moderate to major flood stage here coming up. More on that in a bit. Blizzard warning continues up in the Cascades until noon. We have a winter weather advisory in effect here on the eastern slopes of basically I-90 and then as you work your way towards US 12. But White Pass is now shut down because of trees over the roadway. So we have to deal with the wind. We have to deal with the snow as well. Today, if you're heading out, our outdoor report, well, we're going to see a mix of clouds, sunshine, breezy wind, and some heavy downpours at times. So make sure to wear your rain jacket. This is what that looks like on our future cast. You can see the rain rolling through, especially down in the South Sound. The Central Sound may be mainly dry throughout the daylight hours today, and we'll continue to see some snow up in the mountains. All right, let's get to your 7-day forecast. Today, back into the mid-40s. It's going to be a cooler day today. Tomorrow's going to be a briefly warmer. We're going to warm things up back into the low 50s. It'll be another windy day for us, not quite as windy as what we saw, though, overnight. And then as we get into Friday and Saturday, I'm expecting fewer showers. It'll be more dry than wet both of those days. That is a look at your weather. Things, Adam, finally calming down as we approach the weekend, thankfully.
Calming down in your world, our world over here in the traffic department, it is not a good look. And let me just be brief here to start out. This morning as we're getting started, watching for downed trees, downed power lines, standing water, and now dark traffic signals. Those are the big threats we have just immediately out of the gate. Then you've got northbound and southbound 167 still shut down between Auburn and Kent. Traffic being diverted and shoved over to I-5 instead, which is currently Tacoma to Seattle running at 85 minutes. That's 30 minutes heavier than what we'd like it to be. Still seeing the closures in through Kent on 277th. Still seeing collisions to watch for north 5 getting out of Tacoma near the Port of Tacoma Road. We've seen other problems on 101 closer to Hoodsport, north of Shelton, right? That is where the roadway is now blocked off in both directions because of a mudslide. So that's problematic for us. Been seeing a lot of downed trees and branches in through Thurston and Pierce County this morning. US 2 is still closed between Skykomish and Leavenworth. 542 Mount Baker Highway to the north also closed at this point due to damage to the roadway. We look to I-90. I-90 is open with no restrictions. White Pass is closed due to trees, down branches, and what have you. So White Pass having its issues. Natchez, US 12, still blocked in both directions at Chilcote because of the roadway being washed out. So I-90 it is, if you're going to look at that cross-pass travel, right? To that, westbound still getting through Cle Elum. You're diverted at Bullfrog for just a second because of construction. And eastbound, just past North Bend, watching traffic being reduced to just 2 lanes getting through because of erosion to the roadway. So, an absolutely brutal start. And again, we're watching for the dark signals, the down trees, the down branches, the standing water, the ponding water, and still now muds and rocks across the roadway. Just keep adding to the mix, why don't we? All right, guys, back over to you.
This is the last stop for the post office, so anybody who lives up the highway, they don't get any mail service at all. They have to come here.
A town in Whatcom County left wondering if they will get mail service again. More on the letter that saved the post office.
And looking to the stock market today, the Dow, the S&P 500, NASDAQ futures all on the rise. That's the good news after a 3-day slide. Stay with us.
In Skagit County, Washington Task Force 1 has been deployed to help as major flooding threatens the area. And this is the first time the team has been activated in a non-federal status to support search and rescue in Washington since 2014 during the Oso landslide. Skagit County is currently at level 2 with people told they have to have their go kits ready. People are keeping a close watch on things to just be on standby just in case they need to leave, but they're also trying to stay hopeful.
If it's looking like it's 37 feet or above, then just to be safe, we'll go. But so long as it's staying below that, I'm feeling confident that what the city and state, everyone who put this up, you know, I'm feeling confident that that's all going to hold.
The Task Force 1 members are expected to be in the county throughout the week to help with any search and rescue missions. The team is made up of public safety officials, medical professionals, and water rescue and canine teams.
As if the wind and rain wasn't enough, another big story we're tracking is a rare blizzard warning for our mountain passes right now. So let's send it out to Fox 13's Sean Chitness, who is at Snoqualmie Pass. And Sean, what are the conditions you're seeing now? I believe it's snowing, right?
Hey, John, good morning again. Yeah, we do have a decent amount of snow here, and it was snowing earlier, but the conditions are changing really every 30 minutes as we're checking in with you. So let me show you what we're seeing now as we're moving our way here just at the summit at Snoqualmie. This is the view from our roof cam, and there you can see the roads are covered here, but at this hour it does look like it's primarily rain coming down, and also the winds have slowed down a bit at some point this morning, or at least a few points this morning. We've been watching seeing whatever's coming down go sideways because the wind has been so strong. That is not the case at this point. We have had the chance to drive up beyond the pass in both directions, and we would say that the conditions are perhaps the most severe here at the top. That's where we're seeing the most snow on the ground. All this happening too while we do see that Puget Sound Energy does have some outages in the area that total up to be about 1,300 residents in the area. So we're going to continue to monitor the conditions here, go drive in both directions so we can see how things are changing. Of course, that blizzard warning in effect for most of the morning, so we will wait to see if the conditions get any worse than what we've already seen. Guys, back to you.
I don't think it's snow angel worthy, not quite
Not
yet.
yet.
No. Yeah, we need a little more snow up there. Then Sean, next time around, we'll get you doing a snow angel up there. But a serious situation up along the passes. Now, US 12 shut down. Stevens Pass shut down here as you work your way up US 2 because of damage to the roadway. White Pass, they got trees down over the roadway. The only way right now to get over the passes here, at least down in the around the central Washington Cascades, is going to be Snoqualmie Pass, where Sean is and where the snow continues to fall. We do have that blizzard warning in effect. We also have a winter weather advisory on the east slope. So we're going to continue to see snow throughout the day today and really going forward. I'm expecting snow levels, with the exception of kind of a brief jump up on Thursday. We're going to be seeing those snow levels down to below the passes here coming up over the next several days. More on that in a bit. Let's get to your radar right now. We are seeing some snow over US 2. And again, that is shut down due to the fact that there is so much damage due to washed out roadways. Down towards Snoqualmie Pass, we're seeing some light snow showers for the time being. They got 10 inches at least since midnight here up at Stevens Pass. So that is good. We need more snow up in the mountains. We're going to get it here over the next week. Check out your rainfall totals. Yesterday, almost an inch. Monday, almost an inch. We had over an inch last Wednesday. We had over an inch last Monday. We've had 6.5 inches already for the month of December, and guess what? That is more than what we would typically see for the entire month. So a lot of rain. That's why our rivers have been just bursting at the seams here. On top of that, we had our wind that we've been dealing with. Whidbey Valley just had a 71-mile-an-hour gust early this morning, and there were a lot of 40 to 50-mile-an-hour gusts. The models did a great job. There are 500,000 people, more than 500,000 people without power in Washington and Oregon. That wind advisory and high wind warning continues through 10 o'clock. On top of that, our area rivers are still rising. I want to send it on over to meteorologist Abby Acone. She has a look at what rivers we're concerned about this morning.
Yeah, so several that we're still watching. In addition, just a quick note that while we're expecting widespread river flooding, it's not as severe as what we saw last week, but a lot of the areas that were hit hard will experience more impacts again. In the forest green, that's where we have a flood watch, where we're monitoring for additional flooding concerns. There might even be some urban and street flooding where heavy downpours develop today. And then in the lime green, that's where we have active flood warnings, meaning this is going down now or it's imminent. And the river flood warnings include the Skykomish, Skagit, White, Green, Cedar, Cowlitz, Skokomish, Gray, Snoqualmie, and the Snohomish. At the Cedar River right now, National Weather Service is seeing minor flooding at its particular site, but King County Floods, they're saying that is a stage 4, which is the highest threat, that where they do expect a lot of roads to be flooded for the Cedar River. So that's something that we got to watch for you closely. This is your river levels overview. So in general, the little upward arrows, that means river levels are on the rise. When we look at the current column in the red and the orange, that means we're seeing right now minor to moderate flooding. And then look at the crest. This is the peak forecast here over the next 48 hours. Good news is that the Skagit, Concrete, and Mount Vernon no longer expecting major river flooding. It's going to hover at a moderate level. We're also going to see rivers cresting at a moderate threshold for the Snohomish at Monroe, Snohomish at Snohomish, and the Snoqualmie at Carnation. We've got to talk about that blizzard warning coming up at 7, but first I'll send it over to Adam.
Hey, thanks, Abby. Right now, one of the big things I want to say right out of the gate is we're going to need to be watching out for dark intersections this morning as we get started, along with still the ponding water and the standing water we've been dealing with for the last week. In addition to that, down trees and branches, mud and rocks across the roadway. This kind of stretches, I've seen a lot of this happening in through Thurston County, Pierce County, moving through Kitsap and Mason counties, but also now into King County. 167, the Valley Freeway, is still closed from South Auburn all the way in through Kent in both directions. This because of water over the roadway. That's put a lot of the volume over onto I-5, which has left us with an 85-minute drive time Tacoma to Seattle, plus several collisions along the way. By the way, Kent 277th still going to be an issue underwater. North 5 getting in through the Port of Tacoma Road, still watching for a collision that's given us tie-ups. Enumclaw 410 just east of town. That has traffic alternating through at this point, but that's mainly for local traffic only. And looking to State Route 101, getting in through Hoodsport. Sounds like a mudslide has taken out 101 in both directions right now. So that's the kind of stuff we're waking up to. Our mountain passes, US 2, Stevens Pass, still out of commission, will be for indefinite amount of time at this point. Same goes for US 12, Natchez, getting in through Chilcote because the roadway was washed out. That leaves us with I-90. Which westbound through Cle Elum has traffic diverted at Bullfrog for construction, and eastbound getting in just past North Bend, you're reduced to 2 lanes. When we get to the summits themselves, how does it shake out? Well, Stevens Pass is closed. Mount Baker Highway 542 is closed. To the south, White Pass at this point closed. Snoqualmie Pass currently no restrictions, but blizzard-like conditions expected. You get the idea. This is not the day for cross-state travel. Plus, in the lowlands, things are still miserable. Guys, back over to you.
And we want to take a quick look at our mega poll. We want to see your weather photos and videos. And if you can safely do so, you can send them to us online by going to fox13seattle.com/poll.
And I'm Bill Wixie in the Fox 13 newsroom. We're tracking widespread damage and power outages all morning, and we're getting new information about the extent of the damage and what the governor is saying about recovery. That's coming up at 7 o'clock.
And if you're sending out those holiday cards this year, we hope you'll send one to Fox 13. There is still time. If you send us a card, we're going to send you one right back featuring the Fox 13 team. A small way to say thank you for inviting us into your homes all year long. Our address right there on your screen, 1813 Westlake Avenue North in Seattle. Again, send it to us by December 24th, and we will send you one back from Fox 13.
Tricks. Sponsored by Phillips Law Firm.
Yeah, Pet Tricks here on your Windy Wednesdays. This is sent in from Peggy in Arlington. This is Rosie and Hope, and they are playing together, which you always like to see.
Yes, you do.
In a couple of dogs. They get along, little tug of war.
And the bigger pup is being so kind and gentle to his little friend.
Hopefully they can wear each other out.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you know the Goldens. They're super friendly to dog and man. All right, this next one's sent in from Steffi in Ording. This is Benelli, the gentle giant who always wants to play. Maria knows something about gentle giants. She's got one in the house there.
I know. My
Magnus,
dog Magnus
and
is
he's
huge.
great as well, yeah.
But he's like this. Like, they're very gentle but insistent.
Demanding,
yes. Like, hello, play with me now. He's not taking no for an answer.
Throw it.
Love that
Look at those
face.
eyes.
Look at those
like,
eyes.
Oh.
Yeah. See right into your soul. All right, we want to see videos of your pets as well. You can upload them at fox13seattle.com. Just click on that Good Day button.
UW men's soccer is celebrating life as national champions, and boy, is it sweet. This was the scene on Mont Lake as the Huskies received their heroes welcome yesterday, coming back to a crowd of fans after a 3-2 overtime win over NC State Monday night. And during the postseason, the Dogs took 11 flights, traveled more than 14,000 miles, spent 24 nights in hotels, and still finished the season with a team GPA of 3.5 and won the title. That's all sorts of impressive.
Unbelievable. What a great win. Go Dogs.
Yeah, and the Seahawks back in the spotlight tomorrow, hosting the LA Rams on Thursday Night Football. All eyes are going to be on quarterback Sam Darnold, who had his worst game of the season against the Rams last month. Yeah, he threw 4 interceptions in that matchup, and here is what he said about the rematch.
This team's a very good defense. You know, just with the pressures, and you know, I think I said it last time, and it held true. Just matching the pressure with the coverage, and smart DBs, guys that know what they're doing.
I think we're a better team than we were last month.
It was just like a bad moment.
But I think I'm optimistic. We can beat this team.
Well, I want that to be true because there's a lot riding on the game. The winner takes the lead in the NFC West with 2 games to go.
Hey, if you recently bought dairy-free ice cream, you're going to want to check your freezer right now. So delicious salted caramel cluster ice cream being recalled. Food safety officials say it could have small rocks in it. The impacted product has a Best Buy date before August 8th, 2027. It was sold in stores nationwide, and you can contact the company for a full refund.
A post office more than a century old will remain open for people living in rural Whatcom County. The post office in Glacier has been around for more than 100 years, but when the woman who worked at that contract office passed away, packages and mail stopped. If residents wanted to pick up an Amazon package or buy some stamps or a letter, they would need to drive nearly an hour round trip to Deming.
It's like all of a sudden it's going to be gone, and with no advance notice, no nothing.
So it seems like a sort of a slap in the face to Glacier.
In November, Washington Congressman Rick Larson stepped in, sending a letter to USPS asking for some clarification on what was next for the post office. On Tuesday, he was told the post office will not be closing its doors.
All right, we got a busy day here. More weather alert coverage coming up in the next hour. We're going to be checking on power outages, road closures, and conditions right now in the mountain passes, and a whole lot more. It is 6:57. Stay with us.
Good day, Seattle. Strong wind and rain have thousands of people without power right now. We are tracking the latest outages across the area.
It will be some time before we know the full scope of the emotional, physical, and financial impact. This natural disaster is undoubtedly one of the most devastating in our state's history.
And we're hearing from the governor as the flooding disaster continues, what he says is being done to bring emergency funding to those in need.
And after a levee breaches, many people are still under evacuation orders. We're breaking down the latest. Good Day Seattle starts right now.
Live from Fox 13 News, this is Good Day Seattle.
Well, good morning to you, and thanks for joining us here on this Wednesday, December 17th. I'm Bill Wixie.
And good morning, everyone. Hi, I'm Erin Mayovsky. With weather concerns out there, we have team coverage for you this morning. Adam Gerke is watching the roads for any issues you'll run into during your morning commute. And Chief Meteorologist Brian McMillan and Meteorologist Abby Aconi have the details on conditions you can expect today on blizzard warnings and the Cascade Passes.
And Sean Chitness is tracking the conditions in Snoqualmie Pass. Nikki Torres has the latest on storm damage in Renton. But we begin with Taylor Winkle in Pierce County, where a tree has fallen on a house there. Taylor, good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Bill. It's been very gusty out here this morning. This is in South Tacoma, East 82nd Street, and you can see it over here, the damage the large cedar tree there did to the front of this home. It's caving in on itself. You can even see where the tree snapped there. A Tacoma Fire says it was called in just before 2 this morning, presumably when the family who lives here was asleep inside that home. That tree took out power lines and the gas meter here at the house. They shut off the power and blocked people off from the area, the fire department did, and then they handed the case over to Puget Sound Energy, who's here on scene working to make sure that everybody is safe. This road is now blocked off. Now, at the same time that tree fell, thousands in this area lost power, according to Tacoma Public Utilities. We have reached out to them to see if those two incidents are related or if it's another case entirely. For now, reporting live in Tacoma, I'm Taylor Winkle, Fox 13 News.
All right, thank you, Taylor. Well, the winds were strong all across western Washington overnight, so let's head out to Renton now, where Fox 13's Nikki Torres found a downed tree blocking a road there. Good morning, Nikki.
Erin, good morning. This is the Kennydale neighborhood here, and fortunately this was isolated to just this neighborhood. We do know that it has affected more than 60 customers here. Just take a look at the extent and how large this tree is. Fortunately, it is only spanning over the road. It is not on top of a house like where Taylor is this morning in Tacoma, but you can see that it did knock down a power line here, and it is tilting this power pole as well as a lamp post here in Renton. Now, as far as the address goes for this location, this is the North 4th Street and Logan Avenue North intersection. We know that this happened just before 2 o'clock this morning, but again, very large tree. Shows you just how powerful some of these wind speeds are throughout this morning and overnight. When I was last checking, it looked like right around 15 miles per hour for those wind speeds and up to 30-mile-per-hour wind gusts in this area. We're live in Renton this morning. I'm Nikki Torres, Fox 13 News. Back to you in studio.
Thank you, Nikki. More than 142,000 Puget Sound Energy customers are without power across the area, including a neighborhood where that tree came down. That's forcing several school closures, including the Ording School District, which announced all schools are closed today. And you can find all the school closures on the ticker at the bottom of your screen. And this is a look at the outage map in Snohomish, where more than 58,000 customers are with power right now. Seattle City Light has a much smaller number of people in the dark. They are reporting just 9 customers without power.
And let's talk about those Puget Sound Energy outages. Gerald Tracy with Puget Sound Energy joining us now. Good morning to you.
Good morning. How are you all?
Doing pretty good. We're looking at more than 100,000 outages for PSC. Where are the main problem spots that you're seeing and the cause of most of these outages?
Yeah, really, I mean, first off, we did get damage throughout our service area, but I think the main areas we're really seeing most of our outages at right now are Island, Thurston, and Pierce counties, and a lot of large trees being down, blocking the way. You guys just covered one about tree on a house, trees on wires. So trees being down is really the big issue today. Mind you, we've had a week long of rain, so saturated oils and the rain and wind that we've also had from the past week already weakened these trees, making them more susceptible to fall. And I think that's really what we saw overnight.
And I know that your crews are watching the weather forecast very carefully and making sure that they are ready to go when something like this happens. So how are your crews responding this morning?
They've been responding great, just as they have been all week. So, we've been trying to get as many people back online from each one of these storms, each round, I guess you could say. So we got as many as we could before this round hit overnight. And we're still getting more crews going out there and doing more work. But really just trying to get them some rest in between the outages that they are restoring and trying to stagger those jobs, but also trying to ensure that they're able to get that power back on as quick as possible. I mean, we have a lot of people without power, and we know that being without power for any amount of time is something that's an inconvenience to your day. So really just trying to find a way to work with keeping our crews safe, but also keeping our customers safe and warm and getting that power back on.
Right. And so what do you recommend to folks that have their power out right now?
Well, first off, if you're in the area, and forgive me if I'm wrong here, but if there's any more evacuation notices, if you're in those areas, adhere to your local authorities, listen to them. If that's not the case, you're without power and at home, make sure you have an emergency kit, portable phone battery charger, generator if you have one of those, blankets. Don't use candles for lighting sources in your home. There's a whole bunch of safety tips that we have on our website, psc.com/storm. You'll also be able to find a emergency checklist, which would be able to have all the necessities you would really need for being without power for any length of time.
Gerald Tracy with Puget Sound Energy, thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, time right now is 7:06, and we're taking a look at the forecast with Brian. Brian, less showers out there, but dealing with all of this wind settling down and the saturated ground still.
Exactly. I mean, yes, and you have the saturated ground introducing some strong winds, and in fact, some areas really strong wind. You're going to have issues. You're going to have trees down because the roots and all that stuff are just so loose in the soil. Here's a look right now at our radar. We have a break from the rain shaping up right now around the Central Sound. We have snow continuing to fall up in the mountains right now over US 2, which, by the way, is still closed for a 50-mile stretch and will be for quite some time. We're seeing snow up towards Skykomish and Stevens Pass. Good news there. We've seen over 10 inches of snow at Stevens Pass. Snoqualmie Pass getting some snow. We're seeing snow down in the southern Washington Cascades as well, and some rain showers still developing out towards Olympia. Here are your peak wind gusts since midnight. I want to point out Whidbey Island, which had a 71-mile-an-hour gust. We had 63-mile-an-hour gust out in Wenatchee. Some really strong wind accompanied by that heavy rain that we've seen over the past 2 weeks. And that's just a recipe for trees to come down. We've already seen that in several locations. Here are your latest wind gusts. Hoquiam with a 36-mile-an-hour gust. Things calming a bit down towards the South Sound and actually up towards the North Sound. This is a good sight to see, with Whidbey Island only hitting 44 miles an hour here in the past 15 minutes or so. We still have a wind advisory in effect. We still have a high wind warning in effect through 10 o'clock this morning, but the worst of it is over. I think we're going to see those winds calm down as we continue on through the rest of the day. It's still going to be breezy at times, but not super windy like it was overnight. Here are the rivers under warnings. There are a lot of them. I believe this is 10 of our area rivers, and we'll be particularly watching the Cedar River, Green River, and White Rivers coming up here, just due to the fact that they're just really, really high, still causing issues with the levee breaks at White and Green River. All right, here's a look at our forecast as we continue on through the day today. I'm expecting a lot of dry time mixed with some sunshine, mixed with some heavy downpours and snow in the mountains. Then as we get into your Thursday, we're going to be looking at more widespread rain developing out along the coast. Here inland for your morning commute, we'll be looking at some showers. So just expect this continuous pattern of showers on and off through your Thursday, and then we should see those back off a bit as we get into Friday. Highs today topping out in the mid-40s, heavy rain, strong wind at times, intense mountain snow at times as well. And then tomorrow, back to windy conditions. It will be wet throughout the day tomorrow. If you're going to the Seahawks game tomorrow night, be prepared for some showers and breezy conditions for that game. Friday, fewer showers, isolated showers on Saturday, and then we get into Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. We're back to on and off rain showers with average temperatures for this time of year. All right, Adam, one thing that, I'm always looking looking at the bright side, right? Okay, so now we're on the 17th. We're about a week away from starting to see our sunsets start getting later and later. So we're almost to the darkest point of the year.
Well, so
I'm looking for something,
There is a silver lining in there, but there's also we're almost to the darkest.
Yeah, we are. That is true, too.
It's the darkest point. All right, so it's always darkest before dawn, as they say. Drivers northbound 167, you are still basically stopped at 15th Southwest in through the south end of Auburn. And this is still very concerning for drivers who want to be using the Valley Freeway 167 this morning. Not going to be able to do that between 15th Southwest and 212th in Kent. It's still a lake. You're still not able to make that travel. As a result, this has put a lot of volume over onto I-5, which is currently 88 minutes getting from Tacoma to Seattle on northbound I-5. We've seen countless collisions in small situations, but the first thing I want to warn you about as you're getting out of the door right now, dark traffic signals, down trees, down power lines, mud, rocks, and water over the roadway. We've seen that all around the Puget Sound. A lot of that, though, really to the south end, thinking Thurston County and Pierce County. Watching 277th in through Kent, still seeing a lot of the roadway underwater. Enumclaw, mercifully, you're seeing 410 slightly reopened. Traffic is alternating through the scene east of Enumclaw, but that's really only for local traffic only at this point. Here's that northbound 5 slowing in through the almost 54th area in Fife and Milton. That's still giving us some of the delays from Tacoma to Seattle, which again is still at 88 minutes. Let's talk mountain passes for just a second, shall we? I-90 is open, no restrictions, but delays or potential for delays westbound through Cle Elum and eastbound through North Bend because of issues. Natchez still out of commission at US 12 because the waters were over the roadway and roadway is washed out. 410 White Pass right now closed because of downed trees, branches, and snow and ice. Looking to 542, the Mount Baker Highway, that is also closed at this point, and US 2 Stevens Pass from Skykomish to Leavenworth closed at this point indefinitely. So you're looking for that eastbound westbound travel. I-90 is going to be it. All right, Aaron and Bill, back over to you.
Our storm coverage continues across western Washington when we come back, and we'll talk about the historic flooding that we've seen and what's being done after a couple of levee breaks 11 minutes after 7 o'clock now.
Welcome back, 7:14 now, and taking a look outside, we are tracking a number of closures all around Western Washington this morning. And for more information and more details, wanted to bring in WashDOT. So, David Rasbach from the State Department of Transportation. David, one of the big things we're tracking continues to be the Valley Freeway. Where are we at as far as that closure is concerned right now?
Good morning. Thanks for having me. Yes, both directions of State Route 167 remain closed between Auburn and Kent. Part of that stretch has water on it, so we're waiting for that water to recede. Then our crews will be able to get in there and properly assess the roadway, and we'll reopen it as soon as it is safe for travel.
Okay, and one of the other things we've been noticing, and this coming in now, 525 near the Whidbey Island dock itself. Can you tell us about some of the closure there as well?
Yeah, our crews have been able to reopen that stretch, which is important because it is so close to the Clinton Ferry Terminal there. Traffic is alternating through that area. There was a number of trees down, utility lines down. Basically now we're alternating traffic through the area so that utility repairs can be made. But traffic is moving in that area again. Okay. Other big closures that you're noting this morning, are you seeing trees and branches down other locations too? Yeah, we've seen a lot of trees down and some small slides and water over the freeway, or highways, excuse me. But our crews have been answering the challenge. They've been getting out there and opening those, clearing the roads and getting them back open as quickly as possible. No new major closures to report this morning, just some lanes and things like that. And we're advising people just to keep an eye out, with the winds and everything like that. Tree branches can come down and things like that. Okay. And I know we're talking here Western Washington, but getting into our mountain passes, that's been a little treacherous too. Do you have any information along I-90 specifically about the east-west travel there? Absolutely. Power is down across the pass from what I understand, but conditions are windy and rainy. So, take your time, give yourself extra time to get over the pass, drive slower, give other vehicles room. Remember that it's important that the drivers play a part in keeping that pass open during snowy conditions, but it sounds like it is just wind and rain at this point in time. Okay, excellent. David Rasbach from the State Department of Transportation, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Thank you for having me. All right. Yeah, and let's take a look at this right now, because as David was pointing out here at 167, the Valley Freeway, all traffic being diverted off of the Valley Freeway northbound at 15th Southwest, which means you're not able to make it actually up to 18. That's going to be a challenge for drivers trying to make that 18 connection between, say, the Valley Freeway and I-90. Still watching significant delays as well, southbound 5, southbound 405, as we try and squeeze our way down to the Kings-Snohomish County line. And because the Valley Freeway is out of commission, that means a lot of extra traffic has been routed over to I-5 instead, which currently sits at about an 88-minute drive time from Tacoma to Seattle. That still runs 30 minutes heavier than you'd like it to be. And getting in through Kent, we still see a lot of closures on at least 277th. Enumclaw has seen a slight return to some traffic east of Enumclaw on 410. We're seeing traffic alternating through that scene now, which is finally a welcome bit of relief. Did get wind or word of some troubles on 101 closer to Hoodsport, where a mudslide has taken out 101 for the time being. And again, that mountain pass travel, let's kind of focus up on that for a second, because US 2 still out of commission between Skykomish and Leavenworth. I-90 is open. White Pass currently closed due to downed trees, branches, snow, and ice. US 12 in through Natchez also closed at this point. So if you're looking for that mountain pass travel, as David was just talking about, we got to look at I-90 as our option, but giving that more time than you would ordinarily do. As we get closer to the Snoqualmie Summit, sounds like the power outage is there, and that's another wrinkle in our drive yet this morning. So a lot we're working with in this soup. Brian, want to toss it over to you.
My goodness, a lot going on. Yeah, let's get to a serene look here from our sunrise from our Capitol Hill camera. You got the moon off in the distance right there. So yes, we're going to be looking at a little bit of sunshine today, a welcome bit of sunshine, but there are also going to be some heavy downpours in the mix. We're at 43. Things have cooled as that chillier air has arrived this morning. We actually topped out at 3 a.m. around 47 degrees. That's going to be our high today, and we're going to be looking cooler from here on out. Probably topping out in the mid-40s here this afternoon. As we get into your radar, you can see those scattered showers. Got a hole right here in the central sound where we're not seeing anything. More snow falling up at Snoqualmie Pass and up over US 2. But again, US 2 completely shut down. I-90 is your only bet across the mountains. Here's a look at your rainfall totals. What a past 10 days this has been. A significant amount of rain has fallen. In fact, we've seen already over what we'd see for the entire month, and we're only halfway through the month. So 6.5 inches so far. A typical December up to this point, we would be less than half of what we've already seen. Peak wind gusts since midnight. Check out Whidbey Island, 71-mile-an-hour gusts. We've seen gusts up in the higher elevations, up in the mountains at around 100 miles an hour. So it's been a very, very windy, 7-8 hours here, and things have calmed down a bit. These are our most recent wind gusts. You can see Seattle, SeaTac, JBLM, Shelton all have calmed down significantly. Whidbey Island has even calmed down. They were consistently seeing 50 to 60-mile-an-hour gusts. Now those gusts have dropped below 50 miles an hour. Here's a look at our current temperatures. We're into the low to mid 40s. So yes, feeling a little bit cooler now that that chillier air has arrived. I am expecting as the day goes on for those winds to calm even more. Then we get into your Thursday, and we're going to see those winds pick up yet again coming in from the southwest. I expect gusts in the 35 to 45-mile-an-hour range for a lot of us. It's not going to be quite as strong as what we saw last night, but expect some gusty winds Thursday afternoon at some point. Meanwhile, area rivers that we're watching, all of these are expected to crest at moderate flood stage. That includes the Skagit, Snohomish, and the Snoqualmie. A lot of those will be cresting today, and so we'll be watching that very carefully too. Again, not as high as what we saw last week, but still at a level where we're concerned. All right, here's how much rain we're expecting coming up, about a ½ inch to an inch over the next couple of days. Friday and into Saturday, we should see that rain calm down, and we'll be looking at fewer showers both of those days. Finally, a little bit of a break from the action. Let's get back up to the mountains. I want to send it on over to meteorologist Abby Aconi. She has a look at the blizzard warning that we've been seeing overnight out there.
I know. Adam did a great job covering the closure of Stevens and White Passes, which, by the way, at the highest elevation surrounding White Pass, a gust to 99 this morning. At the top of Alpental, a gust of 112 miles per hour. Now, Snoqualmie Pass, an update. Traction tires right now are advised, and we're seeing a mixture of snow and wind, which is why we've got this rare blizzard warning in effect. Definitely not unheard of. We've seen it in recent years, but really more the exception. It's in the red. All right, Stevens Snoqualmie passes an additional 10 inches before noon, combined with some wind gusts up to 55 miles per hour. Don't drive if we're in the red. Avoid travel as much as you can. Visibility is going to be terrible. In the purple in the South Cascades, eastern slopes of Snoqualmie Pass, we got that advisory. There are a bunch of different types of weather alerts for winter weather, like an ice storm, classic winter storm, and a wind chill. But what distinguishes the blizzard warning from the others is that typically you need winds of at least 35 miles per hour at a minimum of 3 hours to drop that visibility in a big way. That's what we're watching. Adam, do I send it back to you? Do I send it back to the anchor desk?
No, we are continuing to stay on top of the aftermath of last night's windstorm, and we have much more coverage straight ahead on Good Day Seattle. And we have a brand new episode of The Floor tonight in prime time at 8 o'clock, and then catch up on all the day's news and weather headlines with Seattle News Tonight starting at 10 o'clock right here on Fox 13. It is 7:23 right now.
Welcome back into Good Day Seattle. The snow is coming down hard in the mountain passes. A blizzard warning is in effect with 82-mile-an-hour wind gusts reported up there. Abby just mentioned that there was one of 99 miles an hour. Let's send it out to Fox 13's Sean Chitness, who is on his way to Snoqualmie Pass. Sean, it looks like you're driving there. What are the conditions like so far as you make your way towards that area?
Well, Aaron, good morning. Yeah, we've had the chance now to go through the pass, come back. We are here toward the top right now, and so we want to give you a sense of what the conditions are looking like. Let me use our roof camera here to show you what we can see. A decent amount on the ground, not too much though, really, right? But in the last 2 hours, though, we have seen quite the change from when we were working our way up from Seattle. Initially, it was just strong winds. Then we saw some rain, then the snow that has been able to cover the grounds here. And at many points, so whatever was coming down sideways because of the strength of the winds that you were just mentioning there. So conditions somewhat under control for now, but that blizzard warning still in effect. So of course people want to be cautious. We've been able to go on either side of the pass. Like I said, the snow really only here at the top, but there are wet conditions on either side. We even saw some moving water along some of the off ramps and whatnot. And there are power outages in the area. At one point, around 1,300 customers affected by all of this. So plenty of reasons for folks to avoid the area. That has been the precaution going into yesterday for overnight as well as morning travel. Just don't come up here if you don't have to, especially because that blizzard warning is in effect, I should say, until noon. So we're going to remain here in the area, continue to monitor those conditions, and we'll have another update for you shortly. Guys, back to you.
All right, thank you, Sean. Good advice up there. Well, happening now, White Pass is closed in both directions from White Pass to Oak Crease Feeding Station near Natchez right now because of gusty winds and a fallen tree. WashDOT says they don't have an estimate on when it'll reopen. And we also know part of US 2 is expected to be closed for months. Governor Bob Ferguson made the announcement yesterday. This was sent in by Robbie Montgomery last week between Skykomish and Stevens Pass Resort. And just look at that there. The video shows a landslide and rushing water over the highway. No one getting through in that area. We reached out to Stevens Pass about what this means for the ski season, and they say they still don't have enough snow to open up the resort, but they're continuing to prepare for winter operations when conditions permit. So employees can return to work from the east side under WashDOT's approval. They'll continue to update folks on resort operations as they learn more. All right, time right now is 7:28. Don't forget, as a reminder, you can celebrate the holidays. We invite you to join our holiday tradition. The Les Schwab Fox 13 Toy Drive is happening now, and you can scan that QR code right there on your screen to buy a toy for Les Schwab's Amazon wish list off of that. The toy drive runs through this Friday, so make sure to get on board there. And Good Day Seattle's coverage of record flooding and severe weather continues when we return. Time now is 7:29.
13 News. This is Good Day Seattle.
Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome in. Thanks for joining us on this Weather Alert Day. Hi, everyone. I'm Erin Mayovsky.
And I'm Bill Wixie. We have team coverage for you after last night's windstorm, the latest blow to the region after a week of wild weather. Adam Gerke is watching the roads for any issues you'll run into on your morning commute. Chief Meteorologist Brian McMillan and Meteorologist Abby Coney have details on conditions you can expect today and a blizzard warning in the Cascade Passes.
Nikki Torres is at the scene of a downed tree in Renton. But first, we want to start with Taylor Winkle, who was in Tacoma this morning, where a tree has fallen on a house. Good morning, Taylor. What's the latest?
Yeah, good morning, Erin. Well, now that the sun is coming up, we're getting a lot better view of what's going on behind us here. So this is in South Tacoma, East 82nd Street. You can see the damage that large cedar tree did to the front of this home. It's starting to cave in on itself. And what you're seeing here against the side of the home is actually the tree's root system, which would suggest that it fell opposite from the house. We looked it up on Google Maps. It looks like that tree was growing so close to the house that possibly that root system was under the base of it. So when it fell, it may have pulled up this side of the house, but you can see it fell away from the house, not on the house. And we can see that now that it's not so dark out here anymore. Tacoma Fire says it was called in just before 2 o'clock this morning, presumably when the family who lives here was asleep inside. Now, nobody was hurt, but that tree did take out power lines and the gas meter to the house when it fell. They shut off the power and blocked people off from this area. Tacoma Fire did. The street is blocked off. And then they handed the case over to Puget Sound Energy, who's here on scene working to make sure there's no leaks. There's a couple other work trucks that have come in that are now going to begin trying to remove that tree from the area. We know at the same time that it fell, thousands in this area lost power. That is according to Tacoma Public Utilities. We have reached out to them to see if the two were related or different. We are still waiting to hear back from them this morning. For now, reporting live from Tacoma, I'm Taylor Winkle, Fox 13 News.
All right, thank you, Taylor, for that update. The winds were strong all across western Washington overnight. Many of us woke up hearing the winds howl. So let's head out to Renton now, where Fox 13 Nikki Torres is, and she found a downed tree blocking a road. Good morning, Nikki.
Erin, good morning. We do have a downed tree here in Renton. Fortunately, unlike Taylor's situation, this did not fall onto a house. It's actually just onto the roadway, but you can see just how large this tree was. So thankfully, it did not fall on anything here other than the roadway. It did cover the full span of the road here leading into this neighborhood, but as you can tell, it did knock out the power lines here as well as the lamp post, and you can see that it is tilting right there. We do know that this did affect more than 60 customers this morning, leading to this power outage. Just looking around this neighborhood, we have seen no lights on at all, so a lot of people are waking up in the dark this morning. This is the Kennydale neighborhood here in Renton. We're on North 4th Street and Logan Avenue North. This happened just before 2 o'clock this morning, and we can only assume that this is because of the strong winds that this area has been experiencing all throughout the overnight hours, as well as this morning. At last check, the wind gusts were as strong as 30 miles per hour. We're live in Renton this morning. I'm Nikki Torres, Fox 13 News. Back to you in studio.
Okay, 7:35 right now. Let's get some details on what to expect throughout the day with Brian.
All right, some good news. We are past the worst of the wind. That is good news. We're also seeing lighter showers around the greater Seattle area and Central Sound. In fact, not seeing much in the way of rain at all right now. Up in the mountains, you are still catching snow over US 2 near Skykomish and Stevens Pass. We're also seeing some light flurries out towards Snoqualmie Pass. Nothing too terribly heavy, though. South of Olympia into Centralia, you're finding some light showers. Here are our peak wind gusts since midnight. And when you look at this, 40 to 50 mile an hour winds, certainly advisory levels between Olympia and Arlington. Most spots got away with not seeing the really strong winds, but Whidbey Island sure did at 71 mile an hour gusts. We had some incredibly strong gusts up in the higher elevations of the mountains as well. So with all that, we have a lot of trees down due to the saturated ground helping loosen some of these trees, and we have a lot of power out. 500,000 people, actually more than that, here in the Pacific Northwest. Look at your wind gusts. These are the latest ones. Tacoma just had a 31 mile an hour gust. These are gusts we could certainly handle this time of year. Whidbey Island just had a 44 mile an hour gust. That's the top speed here in the past hour. All right, here's a look at your wind alerts. We're going to continue with these wind alerts through 10 o'clock this morning, although, like I said, the worst of the wind is now over. Also, the blizzard warning. Yeah, some gusty winds combined with snow can lead to low visibility. We're going to be seeing that expire at noon. But for the most part, even though we've been seeing snow and wind at Snoqualmie Pass, it hasn't been terrible. So even though the word blizzard is kind of scary right now, it doesn't look terrible. We have Sean Chitness up there. We'll check back in with him later. If you're going shopping or dog walking today, we'll have sun and showers, but you will need your rain jacket because there could be a heavy downpour at times. What I'm expecting today is to be more dry than wet, but if you get caught in one of these cells, you're going to be looking at a downpour. Then we get into Thursday. I think that looks like we will see more widespread rain, and we'll be looking at that starting in the morning, continuing on through the afternoon. And again, that rain may be heavy at times. All right. Let's get into your highs today, topping out in the mid-40s. We're going to be looking at temperatures warming up into the 50s tomorrow. If you're going to the Seahawks game, I got that forecast coming up for you here shortly as well. Fewer showers on Friday and into Saturday. In fact, those days look more dry than wet, and then we'll get back to more consistent showers heading into early next week. Let's head it to Adam. He's got to check on traffic, and gosh, there's just so many issues because of the water in the roadways and now trees down as well.
Yes, and that's the first thing I want to kind of make mention of. The fact is, as we get going this morning, watching for down trees and branches, dark traffic signals, still the ponding water, still the standing water, and now the threat of landslides or mud and rocks across the roadway. We're seeing that, for example, on 101 in Hoodsport. Both directions were reported blocked at one point. Now I'm just getting reports of southbound, so your mileage may vary squeezing through that scene. Still, 167, the Valley Freeway, shut down between Auburn and Kent in both directions. That's putting the pressure over to I-5 instead, and that's giving us that 85 to almost 90-minute drive from Tacoma to Seattle, which means you're having to leave about a half hour early or budget in that extra half hour to your drive. We've seen a handful of smaller collisions and disabled vehicles. Most of those don't really move the needle for me on a day like today because we've got so many other big important things to talk about, like 277th still shut down underwater. 410 Enumclaw, east of Enumclaw, the roadway is alternating through that scene now in both directions, and our Mountain Pass travel has been a real concern for us this morning. US 2 still out of commission. That is going to be an indefinite closure. Watching US 12 in through Natchez, that also blocked off closer to Chilcote, and 410 leading up to that closed because of trees, branches, ice, snow, potentially to come. Blizzard-like conditions on I-90 at Snoqualmie Pass. Power outages near the summit as well. Westbound 90 through Cle Elum, still watching for construction. Eastbound 90 through North Bend or just past North Bend, you're reduced to 2 lanes. So our Mountain Pass travel really quite challenged yet. This is going to be a rough one again on the roads. Guys, back over to you.
All right, thank you, Adam, so much for that update. Good Day Seattle continues with our coverage of record flooding in western Washington. When we return, stay with us. Time right now is 7:39.
Joining us live in studio is Fox reporter Chelsea Torres, who is here in Western Washington covering flooding for Fox National. Chelsea, we normally see you on TV elsewhere. Thank you for being here and covering such severe weather. We want to start in Sumas, where we were earlier this week. What was it like out there?
I mean, it was kind of shocking at first, mind you. I first got there thinking that it was going to be a lot of destruction. The mayor told me they had about 2 feet or so of water down the main strip in Everson, and then, you know, there near Sumas. And really you just see people, the community, already having distribution sites for people that need help. You see a lot of businesses that are cleaning up, people outside trying to put piles. But I think, Abby, what I was most surprised of is that people already had so much already cleaned up, and they were just kind of looking forward to see what they got to do to rebuild.
That's a community that tends to be hit hard by flooding. We've covered that in the past, back in 2021. What were people in Sumas telling you about their experience?
The one word that I took away was they were frustrated. They're frustrated because of that exactly. They know that they are in a flood-prone area, and they just feel like nothing's been done. Nothing's been done to prevent their property, their homes, their families, because they just had this catastrophic flood in 2021, and they were just starting to finish rebuilding from that earlier this year, and then they get hit again. So they're frustrated.
It reminds you how long it takes to recover from a national disaster. We're talking years, like a decade or more. You were also over in Pacific, which saw quite intense flooding as well. What was that one like?
That one was more so, it was a little bit quieter because people had already evacuated. So people were already gone, but there's still water all around. But you saw a lot of bystanders and a lot of crews because they were working so hard to get all of those sandbags, and I know we got aerial footage of that, get all of those sandbags to create that barrier. So it was pretty amazing just to see that these guys were working nonstop. And it was working. You saw kind of the water receding a little, but I think the hardest part was just seeing families come back, see if they could even get in their home, and if they couldn't, they had to put all of their belongings in trash bags.
That's so tough. We have 20 seconds left. Anything else you want to cover about your reporting this last week?
I think it really is. I'm grateful that I get to even go to different places and see kind of what it is that other people are dealing with. I would have never expected in Sumas that they were frustrated by another flood and they just want things to be protected. I think that's something that we all want, no matter where we live.
Well, and it's amazing how widespread the impacts have been, not just one community. There are so many. We're so glad you're here.
Thank you,
Torres,
Abby.
thank you so much for joining us. Now for the big picture, we want to send things over to Brian, and a big part of the weather story today has been the wind.
Yeah, it absolutely has been. And overnight, we saw those winds peak around 70 miles an hour on Whidbey Island. And we saw a lot of 40 to 50 mile an hour gusts up and down the I-5 corridor. You know, during maybe a normal windstorm where we didn't have the rain hitting us so hard in the weeks prior, it may not cause this much damage. But because we had that saturated ground, it allowed those tree roots to really loosen up. So we've seen a lot of trees down on top of all the other issues that we've been dealing with over the past week. Capitol Hill camera right now looking actually really nice. We're going to be seeing a mix of sunshine, clouds, and some rain showers today. 43 degrees is your temperature right now. Still have some breezy winds in the downtown Seattle area, but the rain has subsided for the most part. We still have showers over the Olympic Peninsula, but the Olympics doing a good job blocking out that rain from reaching the Central Sound. With getting some snow up in the higher elevations. Remember, US 2 is shut down. US 12 over White Pass is shut down. That's all due to trees on the roadways. We were just told by the governor yesterday that US 2 may be closed for months while they do repairs there. So your trek across the mountains is going to be over Snoqualmie Pass. And right now we are seeing some snow over Snoqualmie Pass. Here's a look at the past 10 days. We have now achieved more rain than what we would normally see for the entire month of December. We're at 6.5 inches, and this is just at SeaTac. There are some other places, especially down in the South Sound, and then as you work your way up north towards Bellingham, that I've seen even more than the 6.5 inches we've had at SeaTac. I'll look at your peak wind gusts. There it is, Whidbey Island with 71 mile an hour winds. Go up into the higher elevations of Snoqualmie and White Passes. You get up into those higher elevations of the mountains. Now we're looking at wind speeds of up to 100 miles an hour up there in the mountains. But current wind speeds are a lot calmer than they were even just a couple of hours ago. As we head through the day today, we'll see those winds calm down. It's still going to be a breezy day for us, but we'll get a little bit of a break from the wind before it kicks back in again tomorrow. tomorrow. By tomorrow evening, we will see gusts around that 30 to 40 mile an hour range. Not quite as strong as what we saw here overnight, but it will still be breezy to downright gusty at times. Low to mid 40s right now. It has cooled off since earlier this morning, and our snow levels are going to jump back up briefly, just briefly on Thursday, and then they'll drop back down and they'll hang out at a lower elevation as we continue on through next week. So once we get through Thursday, it's all about the snow in the mountains. Starting Friday and beyond, I am expecting drier weather for Friday and for Saturday. All right, I want to send it on over to meteorologist Abby Akoni. Again, she has a look at our flooding because that is another big story.
Yeah, it's not just river flooding. We're also expecting creeks and streams to be running higher. Even street flooding is a possibility where we see the heavy downpours over storm drains that get clogged. So in the forest green, that's where we still are under a widespread flood watch through Thursday afternoon for flooding of various kinds. And the lime green is where we currently have these river flood warnings. Big picture, yes, we're expecting these water levels to surge, but not coming as high as what we saw last week. So that's some good news. Here are the rivers we're watching right now under these warnings: Skagit, White, Green, Cedar, Cowlitz, Skokomish, Gray, Snoqualmie, Snohomish. While the Cedar River is only expecting minor to moderate with the National Weather Service, King County floods, their system says that they're expecting a level 4 out of 4 flooding for the Cedar River, where they do expect a lot of roads to experience that water. So something we're going to watch. Let's take a look as well as what we're seeing at the Skagit at Concrete and Mount Vernon. Right now, moderate in the red. We're expecting that crest to happen between today and tomorrow. Snohomish right now and Snoqualmie, you are right around minor flood stage and you're expecting moderate. Water levels receding on Friday. That's a look at what we're tracking there. Let's send things over to Adam.
Here, thanks, Abby. This morning, still the difficulties as we get out this morning. Let's take a look at this. The first things I want to kind of emphasize: down trees, down branches, dark traffic signals, and power outages. One of the big things we're watching out for. Still standing water, still ponding water, mud and debris across the roadway as well in many locations as we get started this morning. Let's take a look at what's happening here still on 167. The Valley Freeway still in between Auburn and Kent. The roadway is blocked off. Northbound volumes diverted off at 15th Avenue Southwest, right? So that's putting a ton of traffic over onto I-5, which is currently at 78 minutes of drive time, Tacoma to Seattle. That's actually even a little better than it was 15, 20 minutes ago. So that's actually shaped up just a small smidge. Kent still has the troubles on 277th. Enumclaw still has troubles on 410, but traffic is now alternating east of Enumclaw on 410, which is a welcome bit of relief. We have seen a number of smaller collisions that have kind of just been an issue for us, but that's not really moving the needle when I've got bigger things like 101 Hoodsport, where a mudslide is impacting the roadway. Traffic not getting through Inthe, that scene. Difficulties also continuing on US 2, Stevens Pass between Skokomish and Leavenworth, the roadway out of commission. 410, trying to make your way across White Pass. The roadway is blocked off because of town trees and branches and just treacherous conditions in general on 410 on White Pass. US 12 Natchez still out of commission because it was washed out last week. That leaves us with I-90 for our east-west travel right now. And on I-90, traction tires are advised at this point. And headed westbound, you got to get through Cle Elum, where you do have construction near Bullfrog, and eastbound near North Bend, traffic is reduced to 2 lanes getting on through at this point. Blewett Pass, by the way, also has traction tires advised. So if you're going to use I-90 getting up to Leavenworth, traction tires advised all round. All right, Aaron and Bill, back over to you.
Well, happening right now, Renton firefighters working to put out a house fire along Maple Valley Highway. The fire reportedly in a house garage on Southeast 7th Street. This is right near Cedar River by Maplewood Park. There are crews staged on Maple Valley Highway, so expect delays if you're driving through that area. We have a crew on the way. We'll bring you the latest in just a few. Good Day Seattle's coverage of last night's windstorm on top of record flooding continues when we come back.
And if you're sending out your holiday cards this year, we hope you'll also send one to Fox 13. That's right. If you send us a holiday card, we'll send you one right back featuring the Fox 13 team. It's a small way to say thank you so much for allowing us and inviting us into your homes all year long. Our address is right there on your screen. It's 1813 Westlake Avenue North in Seattle. And again, send it to us by December 24th, and we'll send you one back from Fox 13. Time right now is 7:52. And don't forget our Good Day Mega Poll. We want to see your photos and videos. You can scan that QR code and share what's happening in your neighborhood on this Weather Alert Day. We'll be right back.
I'm Aaron Levine. This is your Morning Sports Minute, and this was the scene on Montlake as the Husky men's soccer team received a hero's welcome, coming back home with the national championship trophy for the first time in program history. During the postseason, the Dogs took 11 plane flights, traveled more than 14,600 miles, spent 24 nights in a hotel, and still finished the season with a team GPA of 3.51 and won a title. Very impressive stuff. Congratulations yet again to head coach Jamie Clark and the entire team. Meanwhile, all eyes tomorrow night will be on Seahawks quarterback Sam Darnold when they face the Rams, a game that could determine the NFC West. Darnold had 4 interceptions against the Rams last month. Here's what he said about the Rams this week.
This team's a very good defense. You know, just with the pressures, and you know, I think I said it last time, and it held true. Just matching the pressure with the coverage, and smart DBs, guys that know what they're doing.
And Washington State introduced their new head football coach, Kirby Moore, the Prosser native, saying that it was good to be home. Moore began his coaching career in Idaho and then as an offensive graduate assistant under Chris Peterson at UW before spending time at Fresno State and Missouri. I'm Aaron Levine. That was your Morning Sports Minute.
All right, well, a post office more than a century old will remain open for people living in rural Whatcom County. The post office in Glacier has been around for more than 100 years, but when the woman who worked at the contact office there, the contract office, she passed away, well, packages and mail, they just stopped. If residents want to pick up an Amazon package or buy stamps or even send a letter, they would have had to go nearly an hour round trip to Deming.
It's like all of a sudden it's going to be gone, and with no advance notice, no nothing.
So it seems like a sort of a slap in the face to Glacier.
Well, in November, Washington Congressman Rick Larsen stepped in, sending a letter to USPS asking for clarification on what was next for Glacier, their Washington post office there. On Tuesday, he was told that the post office will not close its doors, so people can actually use that post office still and save some time, not have to drive so far to mail or pick up packages. Well, our coverage of record flooding in western Washington and the impacts of last night's storm continues when we return. Time right now is 7:57. Good Day Seattle will be right back. Good Day Seattle. Strong wind and rain have thousands of people without power right now. We are tracking the latest outages across the area.
Well, it will be some time before we know the full scope of the emotional, physical, and financial impact. This natural disaster is undoubtedly one of the most devastating in our state's history.
And we're hearing from the governor as the flooding disaster continues, what he says is being done to bring emergency funding to those in need.
And after recent levee breaches, many people are still under evacuation orders. We are breaking down the latest. Good Day Seattle starts right now.
Live from Fox 13 News, this is Good Day Seattle.
Well, good morning to you. Thanks for joining us here on this Wednesday, December 17th. I'm Bill Wixie.
And hi, everyone. I'm Erin Mayovsky. With weather concerns, we have team coverage this morning for you. Adam Gerke is watching the roads for any issues you'll run into during your morning commute. And Chief Meteorologist Brian McMillan and Abby Coney have the latest details on conditions you can expect today and on blizzard warnings up in the Cascades.
And Sean Chitness is tracking the latest conditions at Snoqualmie Pass. Taylor Winkle joining us now in Pierce County this morning, and we're seeing some trees down in that area.
Yeah, that's right. So we are in South Tacoma this morning, and you can see what the wind did overnight here. So this is on East 82nd Street. You can see the damage that large cedar tree did to the front of this home. This home is now caving in on itself, and what you're seeing pushed up against the side of the home is the root system from that tree, which looks like it was growing very close under the foundation of that house. It fell opposite direction of the house, and when it did that, that root system may have pulled up the corner of the home's foundation. Now, Tacoma Fire says they were called here just before 2 o'clock this morning, presumably when the family who lives here was asleep inside. Now, nobody was hurt, but that tree took out power lines and the gas meter to the house. They had to shut off the power and block people off from this area. The street is blocked. And then they handed the case over to Puget Sound Energy, who is here on scene working to make sure that there's no leaks or any other hazards that could harm people. Now, we do know that at the same time that tree fell, thousands in this area lost power. We did reach out to Tacoma Public Utilities about that to see if there's any sort of correlation there. We are still waiting to hear back from them this morning. For now, reporting live in Tacoma, I'm Taylor Winkle, Fox 13 News.
All right, Taylor, thank you. It is 8:03 right now as we get a look right now at power outages in the area, and we want to talk about what we are seeing weather-wise as well with Chief Meteorologist Brian McMillan.
Yeah, you guys, let's get to it. I know we have thousands without power. In fact, over 500,000 people are without power right now. 500,000 customers, I should say. It's probably more than that in regards to people because there's several people that live in a house. But over 500,000 in Oregon and in Washington. The majority are down in Clark County and then Snohomish County, Island County, out towards Spokane County. They caught some very strong wind. In fact, they're seeing some of the strongest wind of the day right now over there on the east side of the Cascades. Pierce County, Thurston County also got hit pretty hard. So this has been a tough one. Grays Harbor County, too. Can't leave you out. Let's get to it. Take a look at our Olympia camera right now. 41 degrees is your temperature. And we're going to be looking at some sunshine in the mix today here, folks. Around the Puget Sound area, we're mainly dry except for down towards Olympia, where we are seeing a few light showers. Over US 2, you will find snow as you work your way up in elevation, up above about 3,000 feet. We're also seeing some snow a little farther south into the area around Snoqualmie Pass. Here are your peak wind gusts overnight. Look at the gusts here in Ellensburg and Wenatchee. And then again, we're going to be seeing some really strong gusts as you work your way east throughout the rest of the morning into Spokane and the Idaho Panhandle. And then up and down the I-5 corridor, we saw gusts between 40 and 50 miles an hour for the most part, but a 71-mile-an-hour gust blew out there in Whidbey Island. It was a very gusty overnight period for a lot of us. There's a lot of trees down, and right now we are looking at that wind backing off. So that's good news. Still some gusty winds up in Whidbey Island, but not as terribly damaging as what we saw in the overnight period. Let's talk about this wind advisory, which continues until 10 o'clock. Only a couple more hours, but the wind continues to back off off. I do expect tomorrow to be another gusty afternoon for us, so we'll be watching that closely too. Flood watches and flood warnings still in effect. In fact, all of these rivers are under flood warnings still. We're going to be looking at a lot of them cresting today. Some of the smaller rivers like the White, the Green, and the Cedar, though, are not going to crest today. They won't crest for a while. Meanwhile, up along the Snohomish, the Skagit River, those two big ones, we'll be looking at those cresting today and tomorrow. All right, here's a look at your futurecast as we continue on through the day. We'll be looking at more dry than wet conditions, that's for sure, but we will see a few heavy downpours in the mix. We get into your Thursday, that's when we're going to see a little bit more widespread rain returning to the picture as our next system arrives. It's just a parade of rainy, wet systems that are going to be bringing breezy wind at times. All right, let's get into your 7-day forecast. So today, I'm expecting highs only in the mid-40s. We'll warm it up to the 50s here tomorrow. We'll see a quick hitting spike in our snow levels as well, but then it'll drop right back down as we get into Friday as that cold air re-enters the picture. And then we'll stay in the mid-40s all the way through early next week as we continue to see rounds of rain. Right now, Friday and Saturday look like our driest days. Let's head on over to Adam Kirky. He's got to check on traffic this morning. And Adam, there's just so many issues. It's hard to name them all.
Yep, and let's just kind of begin with what we can. And in the meantime, 16 right now, high wind warning still on the Narrows. And that is certainly worth pointing out. While you've got the high winds on the Narrows, that also means we have a high potential for downed trees, branches, and power lines as you get started this morning. Watching for dark traffic signals as you get out the door as well. Those can creep up on you real quick. What that also has meant, though, is we're still dealing with a number of closures from yesterday, such as 167, the Valley Freeway between Kent and Auburn, still out of commission. That's put a lot of pressure onto I-5, where our drive times has gotten into the 80s. Now we're sitting at about 75 minutes of drive time from Tacoma to Seattle. 525, by the way, just getting on and off of Whidbey Island, just outside of the ferry terminal. You're seeing traffic alternating through the scene there from an earlier closure, down trees and branches. That continues to be problematic for us. Kent finding troubles on 277th. Enumclaw 410, traffic alternating just east of Enumclaw because of damage to the roadway. And let's not neglect what's been happening with our mountain passes. US 2 Stevens Pass still closed between Skykomish and Leavenworth. I-90 is open with traction tires advised at this point. Blewett Pass is open, traction tires advised. White Pass is closed with down trees and branches. And also US 12 closer to Natchez also closed off because the roadway was washed out days ago. That is a laundry list that we're just kind of sifting our way through yet this morning. So having to budget in extra time, again, watching out for the down trees, the branches, and dark intersections. Guys, back over to you.
Well, the snow coming down hard in the mountain passes right now. A blizzard warning is in effect with really strong wind gusts reported up there as well. Let's check in with Fox 13's Sean Chitness, who is on his way to Snoqualmie Pass. And Sean, what kind of conditions are you seeing at this point?
Well, Bill, we certainly have seen some serious conditions that explain why we are dealing with this blizzard warning. Glad to report that they are not as bad in this current moment. Let me show you what we can see from the roof of our vehicle here. This is one of those cars specially designed to deal with those types of conditions as we're working our way here at the top of the pass right by the summit at Snoqualmie. Now, we did start to see a little bit of rain coming down here just in the last few minutes. I think we were about an hour into a break in that. At one point, though, because of the combination of either snow and rain and the winds, we were starting to see whatever was coming down go sideways. That's not the case at this point, but you can still see that there is a decent amount of snow on the roads here, at least up at the top. Now, we did want to also show you a mix of the conditions we've been seeing since we've been up here for about 3 hours now. As I mentioned, snow and rain, strong winds, something on the ground at this point here at the top. And also, as we work our way east of the pass, we do start to see a lot of running water coming down. That speaks to, of course, the challenges that we've been seeing throughout the state. And they've had to actually kind of build a little bit of a block there so that they can move the water away from the roadway. So conditions to be careful of for. That's why traction tires are advised in both directions right now. And so while that blizzard warning remains in effect until noon, it's just one more reminder or one more reason for folks to avoid going through the pass as much as possible. We, of course, will remain up here, continue to keep you posted on any changes we see, and have another update for you later on in this hour. Guys, back to you.
Good Day Seattle coming right back with more on the historic flooding that we have seen over the last week all over western Washington. When we come back, it's 8:10 right now.
I'm Chief Meteorologist Brian McMillan. Let's get into your forecast. It has been a heck of a night for a lot of us. 500,000 people, actually more than that, without power now in Washington and Oregon as crews try to get the lights back on. Hundreds of thousands just here in Washington. Look at our Lake Union camera right now as traffic is slow going over the Ship Canal Bridge. We're at 42 degrees. And here's the good news I have for you. Okay, a couple pieces of good news. I think we're done with the worst of the wind. That's good. We're also seeing the rain break up as well. In fact, we're dry right now around the greater Seattle area. Still seeing a little bit of snow up in the mountains out towards Snoqualmie and Stevens passes. Not a whole heck of a lot, but we're seeing some. And yes, we had gusty wind up there overnight that led to a blizzard warning that Abby's going to talk a little bit more about coming up. Here's a look at our rainfall totals over the past 10 days. It has been very impressive and in some areas devastating because we've been seeing so much rain. It has filled up our area rivers, and we have flood warnings continuing here for the next couple of days on several of our area rivers. Whidbey Island had a 71-mile-an-hour gust. We saw very strong gusts up in the mountains as well overnight, and east of the Cascades they saw gusts between 60 and 70 miles an hour. These rivers are still under warnings. We'll be keeping an eye on some of our smaller ones in particular here where we saw some levees break, and we're going to be looking at the White, Green, and Cedar rivers in particular when it comes to that. Meanwhile, the big rivers, the Skagit rather, the Snohomish and Snoqualmie are all going to be cresting coming up here later today and into tomorrow. Here's a look at those. They're all going to be cresting at moderate flood stage, so that'll be happening again today or tomorrow with Mount Vernon, the Skagit cresting at the latest point. Many of our other smaller rivers are not going to crest for quite some time here. They're just going to kind of hang out in moderate to major flood stage. Whidbey Island, 44-mile-an-hour gust just about 15 minutes ago. We're looking at many other areas calming down, and we're going to continue to see those winds calm as we get into the evening hours. Then we're in for another resurgence as we get into your Thursday afternoon. I'm expecting gusts once again in the 30 to 40-mile-an-hour range. Could be a little bit stronger up north, especially along the strait. All right, let's get into your current temperatures. We're into the 30s and 40s right now, and we're going to top out at 47 today. We've really already seen our high temperature now at this point. The colder air has rushed in, so 47 will be our high, but we're going to spend most of the day slightly below that. Tomorrow, wet and windy at times for the Seahawks game. Certainly going to be breezy for that. Then we get into Friday and Saturday. We'll see fewer showers. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, we're looking to get back to more of that consistent shower activity. So we're not getting away with not seeing any rain, but the good news I have for you is that we will be seeing snow levels drop. So that will help us with our flooding situation with those lower snow levels. Let's send it on over to Abby Aconi. She has a look at the mountains. And Abby, what are we looking at here? We had a blizzard warning overnight that continues through midday.
Yeah, that's right. Blizzard warning is fairly rare here across the Cascades, and it means that we have a dangerous combo of intense snow and powerful winds. And when you have the two together, you get lowered visibility. And the National Weather Service and our weather team urging you to avoid travel if at all possible. You're not going to be able to do that over White Pass, which is right now closed, no estimated time of reopening, and that's due to hazardous conditions and numerous trees, according to WashDOT, falling over White Pass. Stevens Pass, we heard yesterday, might be closed for months from recent weather impacts. Right now, Snoqualmie Pass, we're seeing traction tires advised. This is a live picture at Denny Creek in the lower terrain as you're heading up closer to Snoqualmie Pass. The WashDOT cameras at Snoqualmie Pass are down right now. In the red, we've got that blizzard warning until 10 o'clock. Some gusts could get upwards of 50+ miles per hour. An additional snow accumulation of 4 to 9 inches. Across the southern Cascades in the purple, that's a winter weather advisory where we could have more moderate amounts of snow. If you're going along Snoqualmie Pass, first of all, you're running into that blizzard, and then as you go eastbound on the eastern slopes of Snoqualmie Pass, you could be encountering upwards of 10 inches there, closer to Easton and Roslyn. There are many different types of winter weather alerts, but what we got going on today, a blizzard warning, that combo of wind and snow. For much more on the various impacts on the roads, let's send things over to Adam now.
Yeah, all right, thanks, Abby, this morning. And one of the most important things I want to point out, and it's most pressing right now, is the fact that we've seen a number of trees and branches come down overnight and this morning. So we may be encountering dark traffic signals this morning, and those can really creep up on you quickly if you're getting started and you're just not paying attention. So dark signals, down trees, down branches. That's to start us off. 167, the Valley Freeway, is still closed off in both directions between Auburn and Kent this morning. That's putting a lot of extra pressure over to I-5 as drivers have to get off the Valley Freeway and instead use I-5, which the drive times right now from Tacoma to Seattle sit at about 75 minutes. So that's actually an improvement of where we were even earlier this morning, where we got up into the mid-80s, almost near 90 minutes of drive time. Still other things like smaller collisions northbound 405 and the Renton curves, those kind of linger on. But the bigger, more important things I want to talk about are Enumclaw. 410 just east of Enumclaw. Traffic is alternating through that scene at this point, which is a bit of relief. But I have heard of closures on 101 closer to Hoodsport with a mudslide that's impacting the roadway. 525 not too far from the ferry terminal on Whidbey Island has had trees down and traffic alternates through that scene as well. And as Abby was just talking about, our mountain pass is still quite treacherous. US 2 out of commission indefinitely. 410 and US 12 being impacted as you move your way through White Pass. And Natchez and US 12 right now still out of commission because the roadway was washed out, which leaves us with only I-90 right now. And I-90 close to the Snoqualmie Summit, power appears to be out. So you've got that fun to work with. Not great. All right, Aaron and Bill, back over to you.
We woke up to the helicopter at 2:30 in the morning circling our backyard with a go now.
Well, about 1,300 people are still under level 3 go now evacuation orders in the city of Pacific. It comes after the levee breached along the White River. This map shows the area under evacuation. That includes anywhere northwest of the river, south of Ellingson Road, west of Skinner Road, east of St. Paul Boulevard, and north of Pacific City Park. City officials say it's not clear when this evacuation will be lifted. Now, these are pictures Fox 13 captured yesterday with our drone Check it out. You can see the sandbags are filling the gap in the White River there, just trying to breach that area and close it off. That's not the only levee that has breached, though. The levee along the Green River in Tukwila also gave way, causing evacuations in the nearby industrial area. Those evacuations have since been reduced. And as of right now, the city says flooding is still possible, and that's why anyone in this yellow area on your screen is under a level 1 or get set evacuation order.
Happening now, White Pass is closed in both directions from White Creek to the Oak Creek feeding station near Natchez right now because of gusty winds and fallen trees. WashDOT says they don't have an estimate on when it will reopen. And we also know that part of US 2 is expected to be closed for months now. Governor Ferguson made that announcement yesterday. And these pictures sent in by Robbie Montgomery last week between Skycomish and Stevens Pass Ski Resort. Video showing a landslide and rushing water over the highway there. And we reached out to Stevens Pass about what this means for the ski season, and they say they still don't have the snow to open the resort, but they are continuing to prepare for winter operations when conditions permit. Employees can return to work from the east side under WashDOT's approval, and they will continue to update folks on resort operations as they learn more.
And some people in Auburn are out of their homes as well. The area in red on this map is under a go now evacuation order in that section of the neighborhood along South 277th Street. The orange is in the get set evacuation. Those people should be ready to leave at a moment's notice. Now, not far from those evacuations, members of the dive unit rescued a driver who went right past a road closed sign. This is on 277th west of West Valley Highway. So just take a look at the massive Washington National Guard vehicle next to that other vehicle. They were able to pull the driver out and take them to get checked out. This is yet another reminder of the importance of avoiding driving into any kind of standing water, and especially when it says road closed.
Governor Bob Ferguson says he has moved $3.5 million to be used for short-term relief during this intense flooding that our state is seeing. He made that announcement during a press conference yesterday. President Trump has already signed off on our state's emergency declaration, which brought immediate resources to help save lives and clean debris, but didn't give any help when it comes to money.
So what we're working on is a major disaster declaration. That's what unlocks significant financial resources for individuals and for local governments and the state for the impacts that will no doubt be profound from a financial standpoint. In order to get that declaration, we need to meet several requirements. We must show the scale of the disaster is beyond our ability as a state to fully respond, confirm we have taken appropriate action as a state under our emergency plans, provide an estimate on the amount and severity of damage to the public and private sector. This can be a time-consuming process.
Now, work on that declaration is already underway. In the meantime, our state is also asking for help from FEMA. High winds bringing down another tree this morning, and this one in Renton, a huge tree covering the entire width of the roadway. This is in the Kennydale neighborhood on North 4th Street and Logan Avenue. The tree fell on a number of power lines, causing over 65 homes to lose power just before 2 o'clock this morning.
All right, well, remember, as you celebrate the holidays, we invite you to join our holiday tradition. The Les Schwab Fox 13 Toy Drive is still happening, and you can scan the QR code right there on your screen to buy a toy off of Les Schwab's Amazon wish list. The toy drive runs through this Friday. And Good Day Seattle's coverage of record flooding and severe weather continues when we return. Time right now is 8:26.
Fox 13 News. This is Good Day Seattle.
Well, hi there, everyone. Just about 8:30 here on this Wednesday morning. Thanks for joining us on Good Day Seattle. I'm Erin Mayofsky.
I'm Bill Wixie, and we have team coverage for you this morning after last night's windstorm. That is the latest blow to the region after a week of wild weather. Adam Gerke is watching the roads for any issues you'll run into during your morning commute. Chief Meteorologist Brian McMillan and Meteorologist Abby Acone have details on the conditions to expect today. And we also have a blizzard warning in the Cascade Passes.
A lot going on. Sean Chitness is covering our mountain passes. But first, Taylor Winkle is in Tacoma this morning where a tree has fallen on a house. Good morning, Taylor. What's the latest there?
Yeah, so we are in South Tacoma this morning, Aaron, and a car that was parked here all morning just recently moved, so now you can get a really good view of that tree and exactly what went down here. So you are seeing the root system there pushed up against the side of the house. You can see the front of the house is kind of caving in on itself. It looks like that tree was growing right up against the house, and possibly that root system was maybe under the foundation of the house. So when it fell, it ripped up that part of the house, and you can see that it actually fell away, but it still caused a lot of damage there, not just to the house, but Tacoma Fire says it also took out power lines and the gas meter to the house as well. They say they were called about this just before 2 o'clock this morning, presumably when the family who lives here was asleep inside. Now, thankfully, nobody was hurt. They did have to come in and shut the power off. They blocked off this road to try to keep people away from this area, and then they say they handed that case over to Puget Sound Energy, who is here on scene working to make sure there's no leaks there. There's also other work crews here on scene that are getting ready to start cleaning this tree up and get it out of the way. We know at the same time that this thing fell, thousands in this area lost power, according to Tacoma Public Utilities. We did reach out to them this morning to see if there's a correlation there. We are still waiting to hear back at this hour. For now, reporting live in Tacoma, I'm Taylor Winkle, Fox 13 News.
Meantime, there is a blizzard warning in effect for the mountain passes this morning. We have seen some really high winds up there. Let's check in with Fox 13's Sean Chitness, who made it up to Snoqualmie Pass. And Sean, what are you seeing up there?
Well, Bill, a little bit of a break from what you were just describing, but constantly changing conditions that speak to the need to be concerned if you are trying to go here, or really avoid that because of that ongoing blizzard warning. Let's show you what we are seeing here as we are now working our way east on I-90. We've had the chance to go up and down the pass, even in just the last hour, and see what it's looking like on 90 on either side. And while the majority of the snow on the ground is actually at the summit there, we are starting to see it stick around here a little bit, and we've had wet roads on either side for a few hours now. You'll also notice there are some snow plows passing us right now, so the need to keep these roads clear is certainly one thing that WashDOT is working on right now. And of course, those winds that you mentioned, that was one of the issues that we saw earlier in the morning, where even if it was rain, but also when it was snow, it was almost sideways coming down because the winds were so strong. We have some video that we want to show you that kind of compiles all that we've been seeing this morning in the more than 3 hours that we've been driving up and down here at the pass. And in addition to the rain and snow that I mentioned and the strong winds, also something significant is the amount of water that we've been seeing. Water on the roadway, but also the water that you notice coming down on the side as you're going through the pass. The amount of waterfalls, the force behind those streams and creeks and even cracks that you see on the sideways, they are so much more significant than normal, and that speaks to just how much rain we've been getting, and that it is coming down primarily as rain and not snow. But even with all of that mentioned, we do have the concern remaining about that blizzard warning. Traction Tires advised in both directions, as that is still expected to continue until noon. And that's the latest from here. We'll have another update for you in our next hour. Guys, back to you.
All right, 8:33. A lot of us probably heard the windstorm overnight.
Yeah.
But the winds have subsided, right?
They have. That blizzard warning, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if that expires a little bit early up there, because we're just not seeing the amount of snow to call for that. But hey, let's see what shapes up as the morning goes on. 42 degrees your temperature right now from our Queen Anne camera. Yeah, we are getting snow, and yeah, it is gusty up there in the mountains, but not as bad as it was earlier on. Right now, you'll find snow from Skycomish up to Stevens Pass, and over Snoqualmie Pass, just some light snow. Heavier snow is falling as you work your way a little closer to Mount Rainier. Peak wind gusts, this is since midnight. Look at Whidbey Island. You win the prize. It's 71 miles an hour. We had gusts in the upper 60s out in spots like Squim. That was a very gusty area. And then Wenatchee had a 63-mile-an-hour gust. So these winds did pack quite a punch, and it has to do with the saturated soils, and it has to do with the fact that these wind speeds were a little on the stronger side here in the overnight period. It was a brief period there where we saw the really strong gusts, but we're going to continue to see breezy conditions throughout the day. Out in La Push and Oquiem, winds have died down. We've also seen the winds die down here around the Central and South Sound. Whidbey Island still the strongest winds at 44 miles an hour here just in the past half hour or so. Wind alerts, so still have a wind advisory and a high wind warning. Again, the winds are backing off by 10 o'clock this morning. We will be done with that. And I can't forget our area rivers, which are still under warnings. All of these under flood warnings, and we're going to be seeing a lot of them crest today. Meanwhile, I think we're going to get a little bit of a break from the rain, at least down here in the Puget Sound lowlands at times today. We will be seeing some heavy downpours at times too, but I think that we're going to save the more widespread heavier rain for your Thursday when things kind of pick up again, especially as we get into the afternoon hours. During that time too, we're going to be getting some gusty winds, so expect it not to be quite as windy as it was today, but it'll still be windy to breezy as we get into Thursday afternoon and early evening. You can see all that rain down in the south part of our state, and snow levels will briefly jump up too. Once we get into Friday and beyond, we're still going to be looking at a few scattered showers, but anything that falls up in the mountains Friday through the middle of next week is, in fact, going to be in the way of snow. All right, here's your look at your forecast. We're going to be looking at temps in the mid-40s today. I am expecting tomorrow to be a little bit warmer. And Friday, we'll have fewer showers along with Saturday. Next week, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, we're back to just on and off showers, very consistent temps in the mid-40s. Let's send it to Adam. He's got a check on traffic. Adam.
Yeah, Brian, been following along. Still, one of the big things I want to point out for drivers we need to be mindful of this morning as we get out. Down trees, down power lines, dark traffic intersections, and standing water, ponding water. Still also the potential for mudslides and rock slides. I mean, that's a lot that could be threatening you on your roads as you get out. Right now, 167, the Valley Freeway is still out of commission between Auburn and Kent. There's no surprise in that. We saw that impact I-5 dramatically this morning, where we've run about a half hour heavier than normal on the Valley Freeway. Right now, sitting very close to about 75 minutes of drive time from Tacoma to Seattle. We've also seen the difficulties continuing through Kent on 277th. Enumclaw has had issues on 410 to the east of Enumclaw, where yesterday the road was closed, but they've actually managed to reopen it with alternating traffic right now, which is actually a welcome bit of relief. But let's also talk a little bit about what we're seeing for folks with our mountain passes. US 2, Stevens Pass, out of commission between Skykomish and Leavenworth. I-90 is still open with traction tires advised. Blewett Pass is open with traction tires advised. The Mount Picker Highway 542, too many mudslides and rock slides there, and that's got 542 blocked off in both directions. Let's also talk about White Pass, which is also closed for down trees and branches. So if you're looking at that mountain pass travel, and US 12 through Natchez still closed. Mountain pass travel is going to be I-90 right now. Power outage at Snoqualmie Summit, one thing. Westbound 90 through Cle Elum, marginally detoured traffic at Bullfrog because of the road repair work going on there. And eastbound 90 right outside of North Bend, you're reduced to 2 lanes. So getting across Snoqualmie Summit, power outage, lane restrictions, everything else, traction tires advised, not our easiest go, plus everything else that I warned you about. Again, the trees, the branches, the dark intersections. Guys, back over to you.
Thank you so much, Adam, for that update. Good Day Seattle continues with our coverage of record flooding in western Washington. When we return, time right now is 8:37.
8:40 right now on this weather alert day, and we want to continue our coverage with Fox Weather's Robert Ray. Robert, you're in our backyard here over at Cary Park. What has it been like covering the weather in our region this week?
Yeah, good morning to you. Greetings from Cary Park. What a beautiful skyline here in Seattle. To your point about covering all this, you know, it's amazing the expanse of the damage and the AR, the atmospheric rivers that have come in to Seattle and the Pacific Northwest in the past week and a half. Remarkable scenes. And you just look at some of the rain last night. Heavy rain, windy conditions. You know, if you were downtown, it was tough to get around. And then in the surrounding areas as well. But I mean, if we look at, you know, all the way up in Sumas, Washington on the Canadian border, down to Mount Vernon, Burlington, and here in Seattle and to the southeast where the 2 levee breaks were in the past 48 hours. Amazing to see first responders, people, residents, government officials, Coast Guard, Army National Guard, all working hand in hand to try and fight Mother Nature and this historic deluge of rain that has come into your incredible part of the country. And, you know, as Governor Bob Ferguson has said, you know, millions of dollars in aid are going to try and make their way in here for agriculture and also communities, and to see all the rescues that have occurred, over 1,200 in the past week or so. I'm just glad that there's a lull in rain, at least until tonight here. But these winds and the cold, I got to tell you, it really goes into your bone out here in Seattle here this morning for sure. So everybody's just got to be safe, and all the power outages that are going on, at least we know that the ARs that are coming in the next couple days won't be as impactful to at least up here. It'll be Oregon, Northern California, but people need to be on guard because landslides still hugely in play, and all that snow up in the mountains. So many elements, right, to this system that has come in, and the levees, yeah, they still are in, you know, not great condition because of the push of water on the already, you know, so saturated landscape on those earthen levees. So be safe out here, no doubt. But what a beautiful skyline. What a great city you have here in Seattle.
Fox Weather's Robert Ray. Thank you so much for joining us, Robert. All right, let's get you over to your forecast, where there might be a lull in shower activity here and there, but when the rain happens today, at times it could really be heavy. So I just do want to underscore that. It makes sense that we still have in the forest green a flood watch through tomorrow afternoon. Not just river flooding, streams and creeks running high, those could overflow, and then urban flooding where we see really intense rain on top of clogged storm drains. So let's check out the rivers still under warnings, including the Skykomish, Skagit, White, Green, Cedar, Cowlitz, Skokomish, Grays, Snoqualmie, and the Snohomish. While the National Weather Service at the Cedar River is predicting minor to moderate flooding, King County flood system right now, they have the Cedar River as a level 4 out of 4. That's their highest flood threat, where they expect the Cedar River to be creating lots of impacts and overflowing on local roads. Never drive through flooded waters. This is a big picture snapshot of where we stand now with rivers and what are we expecting next. So let's check out the Skagit, both at Concrete and Mount Vernon. Right now, they've got moderate flooding in the red, and the Crest, we no longer expect major flooding there. Instead, moderate flooding sometime today and or tomorrow. Over at the Snohomish right now, we're either nearing flood stage or at minor flooding, and we do expect the Snohomish to get to moderate flooding. Very similar picture over at Snoqualmie. So yes, it's not as bad as what we saw last week, but still similarly impacted communities are going to see effects again today. For so much more, let's send things over to Chief Meteorologist Brian McMillan.
Yeah, this is just, you know, we've had 4 different kind of stories with this weather pattern here over the course of the past week, and the wind was a big story last night and will remain so until we get the power back on here in a lot of these communities. But we're going to get some sunshine in the mix today, and we're going to be seeing those winds calm down especially as we get into the afternoon hours. Right now we are actually catching a break from the rain right now around the greater Seattle area. There's still snow falling in the way of light snow showers at Snoqualmie Pass and Stevens Pass. Blizzard conditions are not present at the moment because we're just not seeing heavy enough snow. The reason those blizzard warnings pop up is because we expect decreased visibility due to the wind and due to the snow. So right now looking actually okay, but still has some gusty wind out there for us. These are our peak wind gusts since midnight, and Whidbey Island hit 71 miles an hour. Out in the Squim area, we hit 68 miles an hour. So this was a tough morning for a lot of us, and it knocked out power in a lot of locations, including on Whidbey Island. They're still seeing some breezy to downright gusty winds. As we continue on through the day today, we'll see those winds die down. This is at 6 o'clock tonight. When it gets to 20 to 25, we can handle that so easily. But tomorrow, we'll see them kick in again, especially as we get into the afternoon hours. If you're heading to that Seahawks game tomorrow evening, it's going to be breezy for that. That'll be interesting for Jason Myers kicking field goals, Bill.
And for Matthew Stafford trying to throw passes.
Exactly. And for Matthew Stafford trying to throw passes. So hopefully the Hawks can get some touchdowns here, maybe get the run game going. 39 up in Everett right now. We're at 41 in Olympia. And heading through the next 7 days, we're going to have one day where we see those snow levels jump up again. That'll be on Thursday in the middle part of the day and into the afternoon hours. They'll jump up to briefly to 6,000 feet and then crash back down as we get into Friday. They're going to be back down to around Snoqualmie Pass level or even lower, down to about 2,000 feet. So anything that falls from basically Friday morning all the way through the middle part of next week will be in the way of snow over our mountain passes, which we so desperately need since it was all washed out. If you're heading out today to do some shopping, I did a little bit of that last night. Saw Santa Claus, too. By the way, he's doing well. Dog walking today. There'll be a mix of sunshine and some showers. All right, let's get to your 7-day forecast. And as we continue tomorrow, we're going to be looking at temps in the low 50s. Again, wet and windy at times. Fewer showers for Friday, and Saturday looks mainly dry as well. Just a few isolated showers in the mix. All right, let's send it on over to Adam. He's got a check on traffic. Have you seen Santa Claus yet this year? Have you told him what you wanted?
You know, I haven't told him what I wanted, but I have seen him. We've crossed paths. Let's put it that way. Let's put it that way. All right, let's talk a little about what's happening still as we get out onto these roads right out of the gate. Things we have to watch for: standing water, ponding water, trees and branches, and dark intersections. That's something we're watching for. So if you're within the sound of my voice and you know that there are power outages, yes, that dark intersection potential is something we're wrestling with this morning. 167, the Valley Freeway, still out of commission between Auburn and Kent this morning. That is still one of the big sore spots we've had to wrestle with. That's put a lot of pressure on I-5. Still 75 minutes of drive time from Tacoma to Seattle. Have heard of other closures of note. 101, Hoodsport, that's where a mudslide's impacted us. And that's had their roadway, at least in the southbound direction, blocked off. Now, northbound originally had reports of northbound lanes blocked. That may be open partially now. 410, Enumclaw, east of Enumclaw. 410 does have traffic alternating through that scene. Plus, we're also still concerned with what's happening on Whidbey Island, 525, just outside of the ferry terminal. Number of trees and branches down, traffic alternating through on 525. That leaves us with mountain passes to talk about. And boy, have we got troubles. To the north, 542, Mount Baker Highway. Pass is closed due to downed trees, branches, and debris across the roadway. US 2, Skycomish to Leavenworth. The pass is closed due to trees, branches, and the roadway being washed out. That will be indefinite. All right, that leaves us with I-90, which is open. Traction tires advised. Blewett Pass, traction tires advised. White Pass, the pass is closed due to trees, branches, and debris down across the roadway. So you've got one route, east and west. That is I-90. Power out near the Snoqualmie Summit. That's something to watch for as well. All right, guys, back over to you.
Good Day Seattle's coverage of last night's windstorm on top of record flooding continues when we come back. And if you're sending out those holiday cards, send us one to Fox 13. If you send us a card, we'll send you one back featuring the Fox 13 team. Just a small way to say thank you for inviting us into your homes all year. Our address is on your screen, 1813 Westlake Avenue North in Seattle. And again, send it to us by December 24th, and we'll send you one back from Fox 13, 849 right now. And by the way, we want to see your weather photos and videos. Send them to us at fox13seattle.com/poll. We'll flip them around, get them on the air. There was some beauty after the storm, as Reagan in Puyallup points out. What a beautiful sunrise there, or sunset. The cotton candy clouds in the sky. Thanks for sharing that. And the reminder that there is some beauty out there. We're looking for weather photos and videos. fox13seattle.com/poll.
tricks. Sponsored by Phillips Law Firm.
Yes, let's take a look at a few pet tricks. This one sent in from Peggy in Arlington, and this is Rosie and Hope, and they are buddies. That is the long and short of it right there. They're playing together. It's a game of tug-a-toy, I guess. And this one sent in from Steffi in Ording. This is Benelli, a gentle giant who just always wants to play. Play with me. Play with me. Very insistent. I want to play with this toy, and I want to play now. We want to see videos of your pets. You can upload them super easily at fox13seattle.com. Just click on the Good Day button.
All right, well, the UW men's soccer is celebrating life as national champs. This is what the scene on Montlake looked like as the Huskies received a hero's welcome yesterday, coming back to a crowd of a lot of fans there after a 3-2 overtime win and over NC State. That was Monday night. Now, during the postseason, get this, the Dogs took 11 flights, traveled more than 14,000 miles, spent 24 nights in a hotel, and they also took about 55 proctored tests, and they finished the season with a team GPA of a 3.5 and won the title. Wow, what an accomplishment.
Absolutely. Well, the Seahawks back in the spotlight tomorrow, hosting the LA Rams on Thursday Night Football. All eyes on quarterback Sam Darnold, who had his worst game of the season against the Rams last month, throwing 4 interceptions in that matchup. And here's what he said about the rematch.
This team's a very good defense. You know, just with the pressures, and you know, I think I said it last time, and it held true. Just, you know, matching the pressure with the coverage, and you know, smart DBs, guys that know what they're doing.
A lot riding on this game, too. The winner takes the lead in the NFC West with 2 games to go. The winner would also have the #1 seed in the NFC in hand. Washington State football introducing new head coach Kirby Moore yesterday. The Prosser, Washington native, says it's good to be home. Moore started coaching in Idaho and then as a GA at UW. Most recently, he was the offensive coordinator at the University of Missouri.
All right. Well, if you recently bought dairy-free ice cream, you'll want to check your freezer. So Delicious Salted Caramel Cluster ice cream is being recalled. Food safety officials say it could have small rocks in it, so make sure to check. The impacted product has a Best Buy date before August 8th, 2027. It was sold in stores nationwide, and you can contact the company for a full refund.
A post office more than a century old will remain open for people living in rural Whatcom County. The post office in Glacier has been around for more than 100 years, but when the woman who worked at the contract office there passed away, packages and mail stopped. If residents want to pick up an Amazon package, buy stamps, or send a letter, they have to drive nearly an hour round trip to Deming.
It's like all of a sudden it's going to be gone, and with no advance notice, no nothing.
So it seems like a sort of a slap in the face to Glacier.
Now, in November, Washington Congressman Rick Larsen stepped in, sending a letter to USPS asking for clarification on what was next for the post office. On Tuesday, he was told that the post office will not be closing its doors.
All right, that's good news. Well, stay with us. Our coverage of record flooding across western Washington and portions of eastern Washington. We are bringing you the very latest of those impacts and last night's storm. We'll have that and more. Time now is 8:56 when we return.
this looks like it's going to take at least multiple days to get everybody restored.
Now in Good Day Seattle, strong wind and rain have thousands of people without power right now. We're tracking the latest outages across the area.
While it will be some time before we know the full scope of the emotional, physical, and financial impact, this natural disaster is undoubtedly one of the most devastating in our state's history.
We're hearing from the governor as this flooding disaster continues, what he says is being done to bring emergency funding to those in need.
And after recent levee breaches, many people are still under evacuation orders. We're breaking down the very latest. Good Day Seattle starts right now.
Live from Fox 13 News, this is Good Day Seattle.
All right, 9 o'clock right now, and this morning, thousands of people without power after high winds toppled trees all around the Puget Sound region. Good to have you here on this Wednesday, December 17th. I'm Bill Wixie.
And hi, everyone. I'm Erin Mayovsky. This comes as communities brace for blizzard conditions while still dealing with the flooding aftermath. We have team coverage on this weather alert day. Adam Gerke is watching the roads for any issues you'll run into during your morning commute. Chief Meteorologist Brian McMillan and Meteorologist Abby Aconi have the details on conditions you can expect today and on blizzard warnings up in the Cascade Passes.
Sean Chitton is tracking the conditions up at Snoqualmie Pass, and Nikki Torres in Renton with the latest on storm damage there. Taylor Winkle in Pierce County this morning, where a tree has fallen on a home. Taylor, good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Bill. So we are in a South Tacoma neighborhood this morning, and now that the sun is up, some vehicles have cleared out of the way. You can really get the full scope of the damage that this giant cedar tree left behind. You can see it is caving in the front of this home right now. So what you're seeing pushed up against the side of the home is the tree's root system, which looks like it was growing underground really close to that home, maybe under the base of the foundation. It fell opposite away from the house, but it still caused so much damage. When it did that, it may have pulled up the corner of that foundation. Tacoma Fire tells us they were called in just before 2 this morning, presumably when the family who lives here was asleep inside this home. Nobody was hurt, but that tree did fall and take out power lines and the gas meter to the house. Tacoma Fire had to shut that down. They blocked the street off so people couldn't come down and get up close to it. And then they say they handed the case over to Puget Sound Energy, who has been here on scene this morning. There's also some other workers who've come here to try to start working on getting this tree taken away from this area. And we know at the same time this happened, thousands of customers near this area also lost their power. So we did reach out to Tacoma Public Utilities to ask about that. We are still waiting to hear back from them at this hour. For now, reporting live in Tacoma, I'm Taylor Winkle, Fox 13 News.
Thank you, Taylor, for that update. The winds were strong all across western Washington overnight. And let's head out now to Renton, where we pick up Nikki Torres, who found a downed tree blocking a road there. Good morning, Nikki.
Aaron, good morning. This is one of a few spots that we have been covering throughout this morning that has downed trees because of the high winds leading to power outages. So earlier this morning, we were covering the Kennydale neighborhood. There was a downed tree there that was causing an outage to right around 60 customers. This one is a little bit more so intense when you're talking about the big stretch that this is affecting. So you can see that that tree is leaned over right onto those power lines. This is Benson Road here in Renton. So what this did was it closed everything between South 26th Street as well as 106th Avenue Southeast. Now, for right now, this is expected to stay closed for the next several hours throughout this morning. We do know, according to Puget Sound Energy, that more than 170 customers have been impacted in this area since about 3 this morning. Now, as of right now, we know that there is a restoration time of right around 1 this afternoon. At least that is what they are expecting. But again, we have been looking at a lot of these areas where the high winds cause these downed trees onto the power lines, leading to power outages. Just a reminder this morning, if you see a downed power line, do not touch it. You do not know if it is live or not. Go ahead and call your local agency and they will take care of it for you. We're live in Renton this morning. I'm Nikki Torres, Fox 13 News. Back to you in studio.
And turning now to a look at the power outage map in Snohomish. More than 41,000 customers without power. Officials with Snohomish Public Utilities telling us it could take days to restore the power to everyone. Seattle City Light, a much smaller number of people in the dark, reporting 66 customers without power right now. And more than 131,000 Puget Sound Energy customers without power across the region. And that's forcing several school closures, including the Ording School District. They've just announced that all schools are closed today. You can find all the school closures on the ticker. at the bottom of our screen. Let's check back in now with Gerald Tracy with Puget Sound Energy as crews work to restore power across the region. Gerald, good morning to you.
Good morning. How are you all?
Doing pretty well. We talked earlier this morning. You did tell us that most of these outages are being caused by downed trees, like the one that we just saw there in Renton. Is there a time estimate for how long it could take to restore power for everyone?
Not for everyone, not at this point. We're still assessing damage, and mind you, we've had all these storms over the past week, so we have saturated soils, floodwaters receding in some areas, and just damage that may or may not have been reported over the past couple of days. That coupled with the extremely strong winds we had yesterday. So we're still assessing damage. There will be a few outages that might show an ETR at this time, but largely we're looking at possibly getting out some county or region-wide ETRs throughout the day, and once we start really figuring out how long some of this damage is going to take to repair.
With so many and widespread outages, how do crews decide which ones to deal with first?
Really, the critical infrastructure is those first ones, the hospitals, the schools. We had some schools out this morning, so trying to get those ones out. And then after we get those critical infrastructure, we're going to try to get the larger outages that we can. The ones that are going to restore the most amount of people at once, we're going to try to get those ones as much as possible. Mind you, we still have more than 100 crews throughout our service area today. So we're not just going to be working on the critical infrastructure and those. We'll be sending some of those guys out to the smaller outages as well. But really just getting those critical infrastructure up first.
Gerald Tracy with Puget Sound Energy, thank you so much for your time and for all the hard work that your crews are doing out trying to get that power back on.
Thank you.
All right, time right now is 9:06, and let's jump outdoors and take a peek. We're seeing a little bit of sun there, Pop.
We are seeing a little bit of sun, and we're going to see a little bit more of that as we get into the afternoon. This is going to be mixed with, it's going to be one of those days where you get, some showers, you're going to get some sunshine, some clouds. The winds are going to die down as we get into the afternoon. In fact, they've already died down from the really strong winds that we saw overnight, but the damage has certainly been done. There are 300,000 people without power. Don't worry, Bill is okay. If you heard that sound, just a cord. Quiet over there. Hey, here's a look at our radar right now. Most of the action is actually up in the Cascades. Got a few light snow showers falling up near Skycomish and Stevens Pass. Snoqualmie Pass also seeing some light showers. Seeing a little bit heavier snow as you work your way down into the southern Washington Cascades. And down towards Thurston and Lewis County, we're getting some rain. Here are your peak wind gusts, at least on this map. Whidbey Island took the cake here at 71-mile-an-hour gust just around midnight, between midnight and 12:30 this morning. And then you saw some really strong gusts in eastern Washington and central Washington as well. Wenatchee had a gust to 63 miles an hour. Sequim had gusts in the upper 60s as well. Things have certainly settled down, though. Now in the South Sound and Central Sound, we're seeing gusts in the 20 to 30-mile-an-hour range. SeaTac did just have a gust of around 30, but still, we can handle that. Once things start getting in that 50-mile-an-hour range, now we're talking damaging winds. Whidbey Island has also calmed down, even though they are still very breezy. Wind advisory is still in effect till 10 o'clock, so we got another hour left in this, but the winds are backing off, and rivers are still under warnings. Oh, all these rivers. Most of the big ones here are going to be cresting today and tomorrow. And some of the smaller ones, like the White, the Green, the Cedar, may remain at flood stage here for a while. So we'll be watching those closely coming up over the next few days. Those levees that broke have been repaired. We're hoping that there are more areas that there aren't more areas that give way. We've had a lot of erosion on some of those levees and barriers, and we've also had just, high floods stages for a while. These rivers have been at a high stage and flowing really fast. Wednesday at 9 o'clock here this morning, we're going to be looking as we continue through the day. Notice Seattle kind of in a hole there, not seeing much in the way of showers. We will have a few, and if you get into one, it's going to be a heavy downpour, but we'll be more dry than wet today with some sunshine. We get into your Thursday, and we're back to more widespread rain. If you're going to the Seahawks game tomorrow evening, we may get lucky. This particular model has the rain actually moving south for kickoff. I would, however, expect some breezy wind and some showers for that Seahawks game. I'll have that in more detail coming up. Tomorrow, expected to be a little bit warmer. We'll have higher snow levels briefly tomorrow afternoon. And then we get into Friday and beyond. Those snow levels drop back down to 3,000 feet. Anything that falls basically into the middle of next week as we start to work our way toward Christmas will be in the way of snow up in the mountains. Let's send it to Adam. He's got to check on traffic this morning. A lot of closures out there, Adam.
Yeah, Brian, no joke. joke about that. In fact, as you head out this morning, the things to watch out for: dark intersections, down trees, down branches, down power lines. We've got to stay a good 35 feet from any down power lines. Mudslides also a concern. Rock slides a concern. Water over the roadway still a concern. So we've just kind of been adding everything on. It's kind of like you took a Christmas cookie and you took every decoration, you threw it at it. That's what we're getting with our roads this morning. Everything is just kind of, it's an everything bagel. How about it? 167, the Valley Freeway still shut off between Kent and Auburn. That's putting pressure onto I-5. Still 70 minutes of drive time between Tacoma and Seattle. We've also seen closures on 101 southbound right near Hoodsport because of a mudslide. 525 getting on or off of Whidbey Island, not far from the ferry terminals. Traffic alternating through the scene there because of down trees and power lines and branches. We've seen the continued issues in through Kent on 277th. Tacoma, you're actually looking to be in better and better shape. Enumclaw also improving. 410 east of Enumclaw has traffic alternating through the scene. Now, that's an improvement of where we were yesterday. US 2 still closed across Stevens Pass between Skykomish and Leavenworth. 542, the Mount Baker Highway, also closed due to trees and branches down across roadway and some mudslides and landslides. 410, as mentioned, also going to be closed off in both directions. Actually, US 12, White Pass, closed off because of trees, branches, and inclement weather. 410 also having its own issues getting up towards the US 12 interchange. US 12 also closed in through Natchez with the roadway being washed out, which leaves us with our eastbound-westbound traffic, the traveling on I-90. Westbound through Cle Elum, you're still impacted near Bullfrog where they're doing repair work to the overpass. And eastbound getting in through North Gate or North Bend, just east of North Bend, traffic's reduced to just 2 lanes. And near the summit, we've had a power outage this morning. So if it's not one thing, it's another. All right, Aaron and Bill, back over to you.
All right, thanks, Adam, for the update. Good Day Seattle's coverage of historic flooding in western Washington will continue when we return. Time right now is 9:11. Welcome back. Time right now is 9:14. There is a blizzard warning in effect for the mountain passes this morning with winds reaching, well, about 82 miles an hour with gusts up there. So let's send it out to Fox 13's Sean Chitness, who has made his way up to Snoqualmie Pass. Sean, I know you've been driving all over this morning up and down the pass. What do the conditions look like overall?
Hey, Aaron, good morning again. Yeah, so we are now working our way west on I-90, and we'll give you a look at what we can see from here. You know, really wet conditions on either side of the pass, whether you're going east or west on 90, but the snow itself has really been contained to just the top of the pass. As you mentioned, there were some serious issues with wind, and we did see some snow earlier, but right now things looking not too bad given that blizzard warning that's in effect. So let's take a look at the conditions that we saw at the start of our morning as we were up here, and it was even still dark outside. That's when we really had the snow coming down, and you could see it coming down sideways under the light because the winds were much stronger there. Then for most of the morning we did see some combination of rain, in fact just a little bit of rain that's coming down right now. But really what was significant was noticing the water on the roadways. They had to build a bit of a rock wall there to kind of maneuver it off and not create too much trouble on some of the side streets and off ramps from I-90 up here where we are. And even just as we've been driving back and forth here on I-90 in both directions, looking at those little waterfalls and streams that you notice as you're going through the pass, typically they are much larger, they are much stronger. It's a force and size we just haven't seen before, which just speaks to all of what we've been talking about this morning and for the past week about how unique and significant the weather we've been dealing with is. So we'll stay up here, continue to watch those conditions as we wait to see what happens towards the end of that blizzard warning. Guys, back to you.
All right. Thank you so much, Sean, for that update. Happening now, White Pass is closed in both directions from White Pass to the Oak Creek feeding station near Natchez right now because of gusty winds and fallen trees. WashDOT says they don't have an estimate of when it will reopen, so we will keep you posted just as soon as we hear. We also know that part of US 2 is expected to be closed for months. Governor Ferguson made the announcement yesterday. This was sent in by Robbie Montgomery last week between Skycomish and Stevens Pass Resort. Video shows a landslide and rushing water on the highway there, and you can see how fast it's moving across, no one getting through. So we did reach out to Stevens Pass about what this means for the ski season, and they said they still don't have the snow to open the resort, but they're continuing to prepare for winter operations when conditions do permit. Employees can return to work from the east side, though, under WashDOT's approval. They'll continue to update folks on resort operations as they learn more. Okay, let's take a look at this time with traffic this morning. Adam has been a busy guy this week and this morning.
Yeah, Aaron, it just continues for us this morning. And as folks get out and rolling this morning, definite things we've had to watch out for. For the last week, we've had to watch for ponding water and standing water and road closures. All that still applies. But this morning, we're going to add in the bonus of down power lines, down trees, branches, and dark intersections because of the winds from last night. So that's still a concern for many folks around the Puget Sound. Plus, 167, the Valley Freeway, still out of commission between Auburn and Kent. And that continues to be a sore spot for us, adding extra pressure to I-5. Plus the closures we've seen on US 2 between Skycomish and Leavenworth. That's going to be, it's kind of indefinite as to when that will reopen. The Mount Baker Highway 542 has also been out of commission this morning, closed because of down trees and branches, leaving us with I-90 as one of our sole, actually our only eastbound, westbound travel at this point. White Pass is also closed in both directions due to the inclement weather and some down trees and branches. So I-90 right now headed eastbound, east of North Bend, you'll find traffic reduced to 2 lanes, and westbound coming back from Bullfrog or around Bullfrog, that is where the overpass is being rebuilt and traffic has to be mildly detoured. So I-90 has its own issues, and earlier this morning we were even dealing with power outages closer to the Snoqualmie Summit. So not a great scene for us to begin with on the roads. But again, getting out and getting started this morning, let's watch out for those dark intersections in addition to everything else we've been watching for. All right. Looking outside, we're talking weather time.
Yeah.
Ryan, look at you. You've got a beauteous shot.
I know. I have a pretty shot. I have a question for you, too. If you had to take that detour, let's say you wanted to go up to Leavenworth, okay? And you had to take the detour, which is now I-90 to Blewett Pass, okay, and go up that way. How much longer would that take you than going the normal way?
Honestly, I'd have to calculate that, but I'm going to figure easily an extra 45 minutes to an hour.
Okay, that's what I was figuring, And I know those folks would love to see you. They would love to see you because I know they're not getting a lot of traffic here from the
Brian,
west
that's the thing that's kind of nutty to me right now, too. The fact that we're seeing the closures on Stevens Pass. We're seeing the closures at Mount Baker. 410 is probably going to have its issues near Crystal Pass. Our ski season is in peril.
I know, it really is.
So
it really is. This is tough. And I mean, if Stevens Pass, US 2 doesn't open for months, that's the ski season right there.
Yep.
Ugh. All right. Gold Mountain camera right now looking stunning above the clouds. We're at 44 degrees. Those southwest winds are still coming in around 20 to 30 miles an hour up there in the Kitsap Peninsula. And we're still looking at some rain showers. But most of us right around the greater Seattle area and Everett and even Tacoma are dry. Still seeing a few light snow showers up in the mountains. Not too bad, though, at this moment. So that's good. Peak wind gusts have looked like this. Squim hit 68-mile-an-hour gusts. You go out to Whidbey Island, they had a 71-mile-an-hour gust early this morning. Over the higher elevations of the mountains, you saw some really, really strong gusts as well, close to 100 miles an hour. Then you get out to Wenatchee, Ellensburg, and continuing on towards Spokane, we had some incredibly strong gusts too. So it was a very windy overnight period. We saw a lot of power knocked out. 300,000 are still without power here in Washington, and a grand total of about 500,000 people in Washington and Oregon combined. 26-mile-an-hour gusts just hit out in Shelton, and you know what? Things are overall calming down for the most part. As we continue through the day today, the winds will continue to back off. Then we get into your Thursday, they're going to ramp up again, not to the levels that we saw. Still seeing around 40 to 50-mile-an-hour gusts in Friday Harbor and Whidbey Island. Meanwhile, it's just going to be more in that 20 to 30, maybe 35, 40-mile-an-hour range down in the South Sound. Let's send it on over to meteorologist Abby Acone. She has a look at the mountains, what we've seen overnight and what to expect up there.
Yeah, I mean, it's so remarkable that Stevens and White Passes are closed for various weather impacts. Over Snoqualmie Pass right now, traction tires are advised, temperatures in the upper 20s. As you're driving up to the pass, this is I-90 at Denny Creek. Roads are bare and wet, but the highest you go in elevation, compact snow and ice on the ground. Winds are blowing quite hard up there, and that's dropping our visibility. We have a rare blizzard warning in effect between now and noon. Stevens and Snoqualmie Passes up into the North Cascades. This is where we strongly urge you to avoid traveling because visibility is going to be so awful. You got that blowing sideways snow going, and additional snow totals in the coming hours of 4 to 8 inches. In the purple winter weather advisory for the South Cascades and the eastern slopes of Snoqualmie Pass. I also want to emphasize not only how unusual this blizzard warning is with the combination of the winds and the snow, but that we are really just getting things started. Today's obviously going to be the most intense day for mountain snow, but as snow levels stay low next weekend and into Christmas week, we are likely going to see daily rounds of mountain snow. You will need to check past traveling conditions for upcoming holiday travel. I'll send it back to you for now, Erin.
All right. Thanks, Abby. All right, well, tonight we want to remind you what you can watch on Fox TV. Brand new episode of The Floor at 8 o'clock. Then catch up on all the day's news and weather headlines with Seattle News Tonight. That starts at 10 o'clock. Time right now is 9:22, and we will be right back. Welcome back. Time now is 9:25. Governor Bob Ferguson says he has moved $3.5 million to be used for short-term relief during this intense flooding our state has seen. He made that announcement during a press conference yesterday. President Trump has already signed off on our state's emergency declaration, which brought immediate resources to help save lives and clean debris, but did not give any help when it comes to money.
So what we're working on is a major disaster declaration. That's what unlocks significant financial resources for individuals and for local governments and the state for the impacts that will no doubt be profound from a financial standpoint. In order to get that declaration, we need to meet several requirements. We must show the scale of the disaster is beyond our ability as a state to fully respond, confirm we have taken appropriate action as a state under our emergency plans, provide an estimate on the amount and severity of damage to the public and private sector. This can be a time-consuming process.
Well, work on that declaration is already underway. In the meantime, our state is also asking for help from FEMA.
And we are not the only ones dealing with the impact of high winds overnight. People in Post Falls, Idaho, just about a half an hour from Spokane, woke up to a number of downed trees. And that's where we find reporter Noah Bolter. And Noah, a tree fell onto a house there?
Well, not just the house, also the fence here, Bill. You mentioned it. You can see that tree right here behind me. Now, it almost looks like two trees. That's because the homeowner says both trunks, they were split at the base. So this is one tree that fell almost twice because you can see where this one went through the fence and then the other one made contact with the house in that back corner of the roof over there. Now, let's bring in, this is Chris Hodge. He is the homeowner. Chris, walk us through how you found out about this morning.
Well, about 5:30 this morning, I'm sitting in my chair getting ready for work, which is right behind this window, and just heard what a loud explosion going off, the house shaking and so forth, and my dogs, cats running all over the house. Finally came outside, and this is what we saw, this all the way to the back of the house.
Well, and Chris, understanding you were literally feet away from this tree when it fell, what's your reaction to that?
I'm thinking my lucky stars, because about 6 feet from the tree to this window where my recliner sits, it could have been a totally different story this morning if that tree come 6 feet over.
Well, Chris, I know you and your family, you've already made contact with insurance companies, but you also mentioned leading up to this, you were having conversations with your neighbors about some of these trees that you were concerned about falling.
Yeah, we talked to the neighbors. They had 3 of them, and we're looking at removing 2 of them here in the front of the yard and get them done out. We all just put it off until next year. And that's an unfortunate incident, but I don't blame them or anything else for this. It's an act of God, and so, you know, trees come down.
Well, and Chris, just to clarify, you mentioned you plan on staying in your home, even though some other trees, they've been swaying in the wind nearby. You're planning on staying in the basement?
We're staying in the house, probably downstairs until all this blows over. We're not going to go anywhere. So, yeah, we'll just hunker down and hope for the best.
Chris, thank you so much for your time. God bless you and stay safe.
Have a good one.
Bill, we'll send it back to you in the studio. Live in Post Falls, I'm Noah Bolter.
Noah, thank you. Thank goodness those people are safe as well. Well, coming up, more coverage from the aftermath of last night's windstorm straight ahead on Good Day Seattle.
And just a reminder, as you celebrate the holidays, we invite you to join our holiday tradition. The Les Schwab Fox 13 Toy Drive is happening right now, and you can scan that QR code on your screen to buy a toy off of Les Schwab's Amazon wish list. The toy drive runs through this Friday. Time right now is just about 9:30.
Welcome back. And this morning we continue to track harsh weather conditions across the Puget Sound region.
We have team coverage on this weather alert day. Adam Gerke is watching the roads for any issues you'll run into during your morning commute. And meteorologist Brian McMillan and meteorologist Abby Acone are giving us details on the conditions that you can expect today in the lowlands and up in the Cascades, where a blizzard warning is in effect.
And Sean Chittin is tracking the conditions up at Snoqualmie Pass, Taylor Winkle in Tacoma, where a tree has fallen on a house. And we're also tracking 2 large downed trees blocking roads in Renton. John Hopperstad and Nikki Torres are in Renton. Let's check in with Nikki first. Nikki, how's it looking there?
Bill, good morning. We have a downed tree here that has fallen onto the power lines and led to a power outage very similar to the Kennydale neighborhood where we were earlier this morning. You can see that this tree has now fallen onto those lines and led to a power outage here for more than 160 people, or excuse me, 170 people actually. It started right around 3 o'clock this morning, so a lot of people here have been waking up in the dark, and they will continue to do so until this afternoon. What you're starting to notice is that because it's been raining so much, the ground is saturated and it's actually uprooting a lot of these trees, which is why we're dealing with, when we have these strong winds, so many downed trees that are leading to these power outages. Now, in terms of this one, it does close the road on Benson Road South. So between South 26th Street as well as 106th Avenue Southeast, this section of Benson Road is still closed, and it will stay closed for the remainder of the time that it takes them to restore power to a lot of these places along this area. But for right now, we have John Hopperstad in the area that I was in earlier this morning in the Kennydale neighborhood. John, what does it look like there now? Any improvements?
Yeah, this looks a lot like the situation where you have been all morning. This is on just off Edmonds Avenue here in Renton. You can see police tape up because there is a large tree across the road blocking all lanes right now, and it's pulled down those power lines as well. And this is a huge tree. See the roots sticking up there out of that yard. Fortunately, it just fell across the road, hasn't done any real damage other than pulling these power lines down. And just in the last couple of minutes, crews are starting to show up here because there is some power outages in the area due to this, and they've got to fix this situation. But the good news here in Renton right now is there were a couple of roads coming out of downtown Renton that were shut down in both directions earlier this morning because water once again got up over the road there from the river. The good news there, though, is that water has receded. We just went by there. They opened up one lane, getting ready to open up all the lanes there. So you can drive around the Renton area right now this morning. In the sunlight here, blue skies, that's good news as well. The wind is let up. But some of these side roads, it's going to be trickier, especially when you see scenes like this with, again, a large tree down across power lines here and blocking both lanes in each direction. Guys, I'll send it back to you.
All right. Thank you, John, for that update. We have so much going on. We also saw downed trees in Pierce County, and that's where we find Taylor Winkle in Tacoma, where a tree fell on a house. Taylor, good morning. What's the latest?
Yeah, so we're in a South Tacoma neighborhood. It was really windy here overnight, really gusty into this morning. You can see the damage that caused with this giant cedar tree and what it's done to the front of this house. The front of this house is caving in, but what you're seeing here is the root system of that tree pressed up against the side of the house. So it appears that root system was growing under the base of the house, the foundation of the house, because the tree fell opposite of the house. It did not fall into the home, but when it fell opposite, that root ball may have pulled up the corner of the foundation, and that's what you get there. So Tacoma Fire says they were called in just before 2 o'clock this morning, presumably when the family who lives here was asleep in bed. Thankfully, nobody was hurt, but that tree did take out power lines, the gas meter to the house. They shut off the power. They blocked people from this area. This street is still blocked off this morning. And then they handed the case over to Puget Sound Energy, who is still here on scene, as well as a tree crew looks to have just arrived. They've been evaluating this morning to figure out how the best way to get it cleaned up will be. We know at the same time that this tree fell, thousands in the area lost power as well, according to Tacoma Public Utilities. Utilities. We did reach out to them to ask about any correlation between this tree, the power lines it took down, and those power outages. We are still waiting to hear back at this hour. For now, reporting live in Tacoma, I'm Taylor Winkle, Fox 13 News.
All right, thank you, Taylor, for that update. A lot to clean up. Take another look at our current power outages. More than 128,000 Puget Sound Energy customers are without power across the area, including the neighborhood where that tree came down, and that's forcing several school closures, including the Ording School District, which canceled all classes today. You can find all the school closures on the ticker at the bottom of our screen as well. Meantime, Seattle City Light has a much smaller number of people in the dark. They are reporting 67 customers without power. And this is a look at the outage map in Snohomish, where more than 40,000 customers are without power there. Earlier this morning, we did get a chance to chat with Aaron with Snohomish Public Utilities District. He tells us it could take several days for crews to restore power to some areas.
We have more than 30 crews out in the field working right now. A lot of it is assessing the damage, kind of waiting until the sun comes up. There's a little more light to work. A lot of it is removing trees and debris. So really just trying to get to that point where we can start to do that work. And then, like I said, kind of assessing damage or doing some of those smaller things to try to get street lights on just so that we can get traffic moving and things like that.
Also says that crews are prioritizing bigger incidents first to try and restore power back to as many customers as possible. So I guess just pack your patience out there for sure.
Yeah. Let's get some details on the roads and some of the trouble spots out there with Adam.
Yeah, Bill and Aaron, one of the big spots we've been following for the last 72 plus hours. It's been the Valley Freeway 167, and this is where we've seen northbound volumes completely blocked, southbound volumes also blocked, although I just got a press release from the DOT saying it looks like they're gearing up to almost release the southbound traffic on 167 here, and they're kind of doing a sweep of the roadway by the looks of things. So we may see southbound volumes on 167 be opening very, very soon, which would be a tremendous relief to our afternoon commute. In the meantime, everything is still closed, and we are seeing a tremendous amount of volume put over onto I-5. This morning running about 30 minutes heavier than what you would normally encounter if you were using I-5 on a regular basis. We've also seen that 410 east of Enumclaw has been alternating traffic this morning. That's an improvement of where we were yesterday. We still see closures on southbound 101 Hoodsport because of a mudslide or a landslide. We've also seen difficulties extending for drivers still trying to scoot your way on 277th and through Kent. Water over the roadway. That's going to be a trouble spot for us. Now, Skycomish and US 2 still closed getting across Stevens Pass, and that is going to be indefinite at this point. Mount Baker Highway 542 also closed at this point because of downed trees and branches. We're seeing a similar situation on US 12 White Pass, downed trees and branches, White Pass out of commission, leaving us with Snoqualmie Pass right now for our eastbound westbound travel. But there you have traction tires advised on both Stevens Pass and Blewett Pass, and still issues on either end of the pass getting up there that may cause further delays. But the big thing is we're still watching for all the ponding water, the standing water, now down trees, branches, and dark traffic intersections. All right, Brian, looking over in your direction.
That's a lot, Adam. Yep. That is a lot to deal with right now. What a week it has been. And yeah, last night's power outages sure didn't help things. Gold Mountain camera right now, kind of a cool shot here as the sun tries to break through those passing clouds. 44 degrees your temp right now. Good news is that we are mainly dry around the greater Seattle area, and really the whole I-5 corridor is mainly dry with just a few light showers here and there. We're going to continue to see these spotty showers throughout the day. They'll try to make their way into the Puget Sound area. For the most part, though, we're going to be more dry than we are wet. Snow showers continue to fall up in the higher elevations. And then tomorrow we're going to be seeing those snow levels climb briefly. But check out these peak wind gusts that we saw overnight. Whidbey Island had a 71-mile-an-hour gust. We saw gusts in the 50s and 60s east of the Cascades. And for most of us around the I-5 corridor at least, and then as you work your way a little farther east of the I-5 corridor, we were in that 40 to 50-mile-an-hour range. But the fact that the ground was so saturated, it really toppled a bunch of trees out there. Right now, winds are much more reasonable than they were just about 8 hours ago. We're looking at gusts in the 20 to 30-mile-an-hour range now in the central and south sound. Up in the north sound, we're looking at gusts still in the 40-mile-an-hour range out towards Whidbey Island. That has been the hot spot for wind. Wind advisory continues for another 20 minutes or so, but you know what? That wind is wrapping up. It is backing off and will continue to do so throughout the day today. We still have several rivers under warnings, flood warnings. That's that big list that you see right there. It also includes big ones like the Snoqualmie, Snohomish, and the Skagit, which I expect all of those to crest at moderate flood stage either today or tomorrow morning. Here's a look at your futurecast today. Again, more dry than wet. We'll see some sunshine in the mix. I'm expecting tomorrow to be a wetter day for us, though. We're going to see that more widespread as we get into the morning hours. This particular model has the rain kind of backing off as we get into the 5 o'clock hour, impacting more of the area around Vancouver and Portland, and then the southern Washington Cascades. I know we got a big game tomorrow, 5:15 kickoff Thursday night football as the Seahawks take on the Rams. I would be prepared for it to be a little bit wet for that. But right now, according to this particular model, at least, it looks more dry than wet for that. It will be breezy, though. Here's a look at your forecast for today. Temps in the mid-40s for highs. We actually already saw our high temperature for the day, and we're going to remain a little bit cooler than that 47 as we get into the afternoon. 51 your high tomorrow, still be a little bit windy in the afternoon hours, and then we get into fewer showers for Friday and Saturday. Hey, stick around. We're going to be going back up to the mountains. Check on Sean Chitness. He is live up there at Snoqualmie Pass. Stick around for that. That's coming up.